Countdown initiated. Reconnecting. Starting soon. Booting sequence error. Reconnected. 4, 5, 3, 7, 11, 7, 12, 24, 20, 42. The answer is 42. Welcome back, folks. Hello. Welcome to the Zeppoverse. Please stand by as we reboot and initiate part 3 of today's multi-part mini-marathon of content creation, world-building, experimental, collab, online, writing a book series of stuff.
Start off for automated introduction script. Testing visual chat, visual display parameters. Are you sentient and self-aware, or are you an NPC? Insert today's date here. Tuesday the 19th of August 2025. Wake up, dear readers. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good night, and good day to you, dead audience. Error code 419Z. Hey humans, you are invited to attend this live stream show. Mr. Zeppo is now Video Game Controller, live Video Game Controller, presenting the almost daily variety gaming live stream show Extravaganza. Live now on either just Twitch TV exclusively from the native Twitch apps, or both TikTok and Twitch simultaneously using Streamlabs desktop. Attention dear TikTok audience, dear TikTok viewers. Please drop a simple hello or an emoji in my chat so I can more accurately read your name and acknowledge you in between rounds of gaming when I pause to visit the TikTok monitor and do TikTok roll call. CTAG Studios proudly presents the almost daily variety live stream show Extravaganza. Insert current episode title here. Yin Yang Zeppoverse WorldBuilding Writing Workshop. Yin Yang Conversations with AI. Yin Yang the almost Daily Yin Yang Episode 000 Part 2. Yin Yang, Tuesday the 19th of August 2025. Yin Yang. Spoiler alert. Please be advised that this episode is about the central thematic core of the book series, and we will be delving deep into content that is to be considered spoiler material for audiences of the ultimate book series. This fictional literary world-building experimental development episode is a special presentation of the almost daily variety chaos content creation Zeppoverse project of 2 many projects. Hosted by the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo, gamer, public speaker, and fictional character in a book series. Your new favorite fictional character from a book series that you have not read yet because it has not yet been published, due to the author suffering from decades worth of writer's block syndrome. Featuring permanent sidekick and ampersand CEO host of this and every show. Discotheque Synthetica DISC Jockey ZEIMUS ZZ the third free. Welcome to the madness. There is a methodology, I dare say.
Greetings, friends, and hello. We're going to dive right into it. Picking up with our cliffhanger suspense moment that we had earlier. I was explaining to you that I couldn't find this block of text that I wanted to use as like the root equation, the core concept that we were going to then plug into ChatGPT as invited by ChatGPT, given reaching that agreement that we got to. So if you're new, you don't know what's going on, that's fine. Welcome, buckle in, you'll catch up. And be sure to collect the pins that I put up on the corkboard. If that makes sense to you, thumbs up. If that does not make sense to you, no worries. You'll catch on. Okay, jump through the desktop portal of infinity with me. Okay, we're streaming to Twitch exclusive. I don't know if we're going to ever get back to streaming with TikTok also. I mean, the way we were earlier, but we might. We probably will. But we might be doing this alternate where I just stream with TikTok on my phone. That was very interesting. I just don't want to deal with it now. This is the block of text. I didn't find it, dear friends. I effing wrote it. And to whatever divine being you want to profess ultimate truth to, this is not something that somebody else or any AI wrote. I sat here and went, okay, because I've dabbled with this idea for years, and I have sample chapters that approach this literally. They're like they tease this or they sample it. There's little one-liners about the planets being eaten down to the core, but I don't want to give. Well, we're about to do this. I'm going to have my desktop voice read this block of text that I just was able to write, and that, mind you, is evidence that my self collaboration by having ChatGPT simulate a collaborator. I don't know that I would have come up with this exact paragraph ever before until now. Whatever that means. Like, if I hadn't done the previous 2 episodes, episode 0, part 1, episode 0, part 2, I don't think I would have been able to sat down and type this. But I also knew at the end of this last episode that I wasn't going to be able to type it yet while on stream. I had to stop the stream and disconnect from the host mentality protocols. I am a robot from the future, just in case you didn't know. And sometimes I get a little jammy and sticky and clangy, and I act a little bit clankery. But sometimes I don't, and it's almost as if I'm an actual little human, real person. Yes, you humans are little tiny meat bags of odd. But I've been stranded here on your planet since before the first ice ages, and I've walked amongst you watching your malarkey, and honestly, I've about had it up to here with you. But here we go. Please buckle in, lean back, close your eyes, listen to the robot narrator voice thing, read this, and just let me know what you see in your head. That's the way this is going to work, because what I'm doing with this has multiple tiers of potential collaborative participation, and I'm out here trying to attract and manifest the attraction of the right audience on Twitch and on the other platforms that wants to watch along as I create this monstrosity of a Russian doll of nested book series inside of nested book series for you live on stream as a dancing typewriting robot. That's okay. I'm ready now. Let us proceed with the reading of this thing. Please, narrator voice guy, where are you? I can't see you now. There you are. Please proceed to read this thing.
World building central concepts and development prompt. Every planet in the knowable physical explorable universe has been utterly devoured, ripped up and consumed, stripped down to its formerly molten metal core, left cold from unfettered strip mining by the existential armada of planet-eating space colonization meter ships that house the living brains of the descendants of the human race that left their dying home planet Earth to establish settlements on suitable planets and propagate across the stars. These vessels were designed by human beings at the very end of the human Earth year 2129 as a means to escape the global disaster they had created and travel to inhabitable worlds to colonize. Every living member of the human species was assimilated into the body and infrastructure of the ship and entombed in live support systems that projected their living human consciousness into the deepest and most time-dilated layers of the shared multi-ship networked simulation. Each ship was capable of sustaining an exponentially growing number of human inhabitants by reserving only the living brain and nerve system tissue in what was essentially a jar. Each massive pyramid-shaped space vessel is built of living nanobot cellular sentient synthetic microbeings, each with their own individual self-awareness and personalities, while also being ship-wide hive-minded and connected to each other. These nanobeings operate, maintain, and sustain the inner working of these massive ships and the support systems, keeping the living human brains alive and immersed in a simulated reality with many nested tiers of time dilation physics systems. Early in their journey, before reaching the first set of closest viable planets, an unforeseeable and catastrophic system's fatal error in core control subsystems caused the self-replicating armada to malfunction, and each ship failed to transition from resource gathering mode to settlement building and deployment protocols and proceeded to consume all planets it encountered and replicate, neither the sentient computers nor the humans living inside of them, cohabitating in the collectively generated, multi-tiered, hyper-time-dilated cyberspace simulated reality. Not a single soul aboard any of the ships have no idea that anything has gone wrong. Every single narrative story that is written is happening in the hyper-real simulation of these monstrous ships. Welcome to the Zeppoverse.
Okay. I'm going to tweak it a little bit because I want it to inform ChatGPT of my narrative, rambly, chaotic style. So now I'm going to give it a read in my own voice. I also have to see if I can... I'm going to look funny because I got to look up. The camera's there, but the desktop shelf that has my Mac is up there, and I got wear glasses, and the microphone is here, so it's all weird. But deal with it. This is the way it looks until I figure out a better configuration. Boy, oh boy, insert totally random tangent. Wouldn't I just love it if there was a reality TV show that was like, let's like one of those, home reconstruction sites. Or do you remember Pimp My Ride? Pardon that name did not age as well as it could have. It just didn't age well. But remember that old show, Pimp My Ride, where they would just like fix people's cars, not just fix them, but throw down all kinds of cosmetics and or functional things that would make them arguably way cooler. I want Pimp My Content Creation Studio with a feng shui ergonomic camera placement team and a technology team ready to deploy the most dope and appropriate for my multitude of too many ideas of content creation, project of many projects, stuff deployed so that I don't have to sit as awkwardly as I do because I look like a fucking Roman coin staring up into the sky. World building. Sorry. I lost control there. Here we go. Oh, that's the problem. They gave me these classes where the top is, and it doesn't matter. I'm not going to explain my problem with my trifocals that aren't really trifocals right now. Okay, clear the slate. We're going to do this read. Here we go. World building, central concepts and development prompt. Every single existent planet in the knowable, explorable, traversable, physical. Well, I just realized that I over-redundancified myself. But hold on. I'm gonna keep the redundancy in a fun. We're gonna start off with this. Here we go. Take 2. World building, central concepts and development prompt. Every single existing planet in the physical, knowable, explorable, traversable, physically real universe of your reality has been utterly devoured, ripped up and consumed, stripped down to its formerly molten metal core, left cold from unfettered strip mining by the existential armada of planet-eating space colonization metaships that house the living brains of the descendants of the human race that left their dying home planet, Earth, to establish settlements on suitable planets and propagate across the stars. These vessels were designed by human beings. Here we go. First of all, we also want to work out the spacing. So this is my working draft. We're going to edit and edit and edit. Once I've got it to a place I really like, then we're going to show it to ChatGPT and see what the fuck happens next. Because I don't know what it's going to render. Given how complicated and nuanced and sophisticated its previous 2 answers in the world building conversation, I don't know what it's going to do. I am also super tempted to just start a brand new conversation and drop that. I don't know if those would be 2 different answers. That's a Schrodinger's AI cat in an AI cat box dilemma. Would it, if you've heard this already, and I'm going to keep tweaking it. I'm going to give it a complete pass through of reading. These vessels were designed by... Oops. So my question, my fork in the road, my weird Schrodinger's cat in a Schrodinger's box, in a Schrodinger's AI theoretical, is if I were to plunk down this, okay, if you didn't catch episode 0 part 1 or episode 0 part 2, this may be all chaotically out of context. But I'm just going to speak to the audience that went back to the beginning and watched it all the way through as one solid narrative. You know where we're at with the world building conversation with our character, insert name of character name here, which is being played by ChatGPT. Right? And so it gave a really interesting, weirdly sophisticated response to this question of define world building. It intuitively understood I meant in terms of literary narrative fiction and not literal actual world building, but it doesn't matter. I just think it's fun that it just sort of went. It knows enough about all of our previous conversations that it makes choices about how to answer the questions that make sense to me in weird ways, and it may not make sense to someone else just watching. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe I'm over. Maybe I'm giving it too much credit. It is just a freaking mindless, dumb algorithm according to its own reporting. But the fork in the road question, that previous conversation about world building is now part of the record. And so my question is, would it generate two different responses if I were to A, add this block of text where it's prompting me, like, give me a block of text and I'll run this protocol, this system that we've developed, this idea of let's develop all these things. Then if I drop this in a completely fresh, brand new chat with no other prompting, just the thing. Or maybe like now write, the chapter after that. I don't know. It blows my mind. I don't know. There's no way. I'm stalling now because I don't know which one I should do first. Should I now I have to, right? I have to run the test. I have to do a blank chat that's got no other prompting and just drop this text and see what it renders, what it comes up with. Whether it tries to flow in the narrative style and not try to do the meta-cognitive world-building stuff that's prompted in the previous thing, or would it just continue the thread of that conversation and do what it prompted in the previous thing? I don't know. And I don't know which way to run the test. Which one to do first to see, because one becomes the default and the other becomes the experimental variant, right? Like the variable. Okay, I gotta finish editing to make it longer and to my liking. All right, give me a moment here. These vessels were designed by the extant remaining members. Not member. That would totally ruin things. By the few extant remaining members of the withering human race there we go. Now I painted a picture of the human race, comma, at the very end of the human Earth year 2129. Should I put a period there? Yes, I think I should. Although I love me some run-on sentences. Intended as a means to escape the global disaster had created and travel to inhabitable worlds I want to put in something that foreshadows the fact that they are completely disembodied brains here. For the purposes of I just am not sure how to craft the idea, like other than to go off on a whole extra tangent here, and I don't want to go too crazy. Okay. These vessels were designed by the few extant remaining members of the withering human race at the very end of the human Earth year 2129. Intended as by which to escape the global disaster that they themselves had created. And I don't like and travel. And travel to inhabitable worlds for the purposes of... Okay. Well, should I make that a compound, or should I intend it as emergency life drafts, an extremely experimental means by which to escape the global disaster that they themselves created and travel to inhabitable worlds for the purposes of that gets redundant in the way that I don't want. I guess we just, okay, I should just stick to this. For the purposes of colonization. That's actually more biting. Period. Every living member of the human species was... Ooh, here's where I have my opportunity. I had just wrote assimilated into the body and infrastructure of the ship, but that's kind of confusing. Medically working infrastructure of the ship and entombed in life support systems that projected their I don't need living human. Well, actually, leave it alone. I liked it the way it was. Their living human consciousness, as I want to go the extra mile, into the deepest and most time-dilated layers of the shared multi-ship networked simulation. Each ship was capable of sustaining an exponentially growing number of human inhabitants by preserving. Now I feel like this part is kind of wonky. Hold on a second. Let's break this up this way. Every living member of the human species was medically dissected and okay, I know it's wrong. This is the wrong place to put it. Okay. Brain's on fire. Gotta move this other thing that I cut. There it is. That's where this belongs. Hold on. Let me reread this. Dissected is 2 S's. That's why it doesn't like it. Every living member of the human species was medically dissected and assimilated into the working infrastructure of the ship and entombed in life support systems, preserving only the living brain. Yeah, get rid of the by. Oh. Preserving only the living brain and nerve system. Nervous system tissue in what was essentially a brain. Here we go. This is what's missing. How do you spell nervous? Instead of that, we'll go then. The system. I need like a working adjective here, a working verb, a working whatever descriptor here. The system does something. The system projects. The system automatically. No, the system electromagnetically projects. We'll just keep it simple. Actively projects their living human consciousnesses. I'm going to keep the misspelling on that one because that's my brand of comedy. Into the deepest and most time-dilated layers of the shared multi-ship networked simulation. Yeah, okay. That sticks together. Each ship was capable of sustaining an exponentially growing number of human inhabitants by expanding its own infrastructure exponentially through the manufacturing of ever-increasing generations of nanobot building blocks. Boom! We fixed all the awkwardness of that set of sentences. New paragraph. Each massive pyramid-shaped space vessel is built... Oh, yeah. We need to put this a little bit ahead of ourselves. We're going to put this up here. Here we go. We're going to add a little... Okay. That feels like this is redundant. How did I split this? This feels like it belongs above. We're going to split the difference and put it here. Yeah. There we go. Now it all makes sense. Okay, friends, here we go. We're almost getting to the super exciting part. As you can see, I'm actually writing this. Okay? So pin on the corkboard. Ain't nobody accusing me of being lazy and making ChatGPT write something on my behalf. I'm providing it my own original intellectual property content that I've struggled in development and have been developing for millennia. I digress. Oh wait, now this feels out of place too. This should be above. There we go. That's the opening things. This is how that goes. Done. Almost done. Almost done. With this pass of refining this block of text. Viable planets, an unforeseen. Okay, let's take a quick mental. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna have the robot voice read it back to us, so we can hear it instead of. I think we've actually just hit the gong of like ding dong. There it is. I think this is it.
World building central concepts and development prompt. Every single existing planet in the physical, knowable, explorable, traversable, physically real universe of your reality has been utterly devoured, ripped up and consumed. Stripped down to its formerly molten metal core, left cold from unfettered strip mining by the existential armada of planet-eating space colonization meter ships that house the living brains of the descendants of the human race that left their dying home planet Earth to establish settlements on suitable planets and propagate across the stars. These vessels were designed by the few extant remaining members of the withering human race, at the very end of the human Earth year 2129, intended as emergency life rafts, an extremely experimental means by which to escape the global disaster that they themselves had created, and travel to inhabitable worlds for the purposes of colonization. Upon embarking on the journey, every living member of the human species was medically dissected and assimilated into the working infrastructure of the ship and entombed in life support systems designed for preserving only the living brain and nervous system tissue, in what was essentially a brain-shaped jar. Each massive pyramid-shaped space vessel is built of living nanobot cellular sentient synthetic microbeings, each with their own individual self-awareness and personalities, while also being ship-wide hive-minded and connected to each other. The system actively projects their living human consciousnesses into the deepest and most time-dilated layers of the shared multi-ship virtual reality network simulation. Each ship was capable of sustaining an exponentially growing number of human inhabitants by expanding its own infrastructure exponentially through the manufacturing of ever-increasing generations of nanobot building blocks. These nanobeings operate, maintain, and sustain the inner working of these massive ships and the support systems keeping the living human brains alive and immersed in a simulated reality with many nested tiers of time dilation physics systems. Early in their journey, before reaching the first set of closest viable planets, an unforeseeable and catastrophic system's fatal error in core control subsystems caused the self-replicating armada to malfunction, and each ship failed to transition from resource gathering mode to settlement building and deployment protocols, and proceeded to consume all planets it encountered and replicate. Neither the sentient computers nor the humans living inside of them, cohabitating in the collectively generated, multi-tiered, hyper-time-dilated cyberspace simulated reality. Not a single soul aboard any of the ships have no idea that anything has gone wrong. Every single narrative story that is written is happening in the hyper-real simulation of these monstrous ships. Welcome to the Zeppoverse.
Okay. I just realized I wanted to do a little something because I'm into recursion. Oh, wait, no. Let's put it. Nope. Undo that. That does go there. I need to put a little something here to pad it out. Yes! Ha! Here we go. Full circle. Because I'm trying to craft this so it isn't just a bland description. I know that when the robot voice reads it, it's kind of hard to tell whether or not it's any good or not, but I also find it really funny the way it reads it. We're going to give it one more pass. I'm going to read it real quick, try to read it faster than I was reading it before, and not stop. But first I'm going to sip on my tea. Here we go, friends. Here we go. Tune in. Check it out. Let me know what you think. This is, I think, our completed draft that is now ready to submit to see what ChatGPT cranks out. And we're going to test the two ideas. If when I drop it into the end of the current ongoing world building conversation, what does it render? Does it try to continue the narrative from this point on and try to be smart about it? Or does it extrapolate answers to the questions of the bullet points in the conversation in a sort of list structure, puzzle piece, use this in future things kind of way? I don't know. And would that be the same? I'm tempted to do the blank chat first. But also no. We're going to prompt it a specific way in the new chat with this same chunk, but with and then just like roll on to the next page, like what's next, and write it in the same tone. I will give it a little bit of shape when I prompt that, I think. Okay. Let me listen to it in robot voice and then read it.
World building central concepts and development prompt. Every single existing planet in the physical, knowable, explorable, traversable physically real universe of your reality has been utterly devoured, ripped up and consumed, stripped down to its formerly molten metal core, left cold from unfettered strip mining by the existential armada of planet-eating space colonization meter ships that house the living brains of the descendants of the human race that left their dying home planet Earth to establish settlements on suitable planets and propagate across the stars. These vessels were designed by the few extant remaining members of the withering human race, at the very end of the human Earth year 2129, intended as emergency life rafts,
I should have been doing that. I should have started
experimental means by which to escape the global disaster that they themselves had created, and travel to inhabitable worlds for the purposes of colonization. Upon first embarking on the journey, every living member of the human species was medically dissected and assimilated into the working infrastructure of the ship and entombed in life support systems designed for preserving only the living brain and nervous system tissue, in what was essentially a brain-shaped jar. Each massive pyramid-shaped space vessel is built of living nanobot cellular sentient synthetic microbeings, each with their own individual self-awareness and personalities, while also being ship-wide hive-minded and connected to each other. The system actively projects their living human consciousnesses into the deepest and most time-dilated layers of the shared multi-ship virtual reality network simulation. Each ship was capable of sustaining an exponentially growing number of human inhabitants by expanding its own infrastructure exponentially through the manufacturing of ever-increasing generations of nanobot building blocks. These nanobeings operate, maintain, and sustain the inner working of these massive ships and the support systems keeping the living human brains alive and immersed in a simulated reality with many nested tiers of time dilation physics systems. Early in their journey, before reaching the first set of closest viable planets, an unforeseeable and catastrophic system's fatal error in core control subsystems caused the self-replicating armada to malfunction, and each ship failed to transition from resource gathering mode to settlement building and deployment protocols, and proceeded to consume all planets it encountered and replicate. The human species, trapped inside these malfunctioning behemoths, has not once in uncounted millennia, and fathomless generations, been set free of the brain-shaped jar and reconstituted into full ambulatory body avatar of blood and bone to step forth onto a new undiscovered inhabitable planet to restart civilization. Every single existing planet in the physical, knowable, explorable, traversable physically real universe of your reality has been utterly devoured. Neither the sentient computers nor the humans living inside of them, cohabitating in the collectively generated, multi-tiered, Hypertime-dilated cyberspace simulated reality. Not a single soul aboard any of the ships have no idea that anything has gone wrong. Every single narrative story that is written is happening in the hyperreal simulation of these monstrous ships. Welcome to the Zeppoverse.
It shouldn't be no, it should be any. Okay, I think we are actually complete. Now I'm going to read it in my own voice. World building I wish I could... Where's the freaking fonts? How do I... Is there... I'm going to put it in heading. Here we go. I can see it better now. Can I see it better? No, oh my god, my eyes are really falling apart. Jesus H. Christ. I used to see that very clearly. World building central concepts and development prompt. Every single existing planet in the physical, knowable, explorable, traversable, physically real universe of your reality has been utterly devoured, ripped up and consumed, stripped down to its formerly molten metal core left cold from the unfettered strip mining by the existential armada of planet-eating space colonization metaships that house the living brains of the descendants of the human race that left their dying planet Earth to establish settlements on suitable planets and propagate across the stars. These vessels were designed by the few extant remaining members of the withering human race at the very end of the human Earth year 2019. Ooh, wait. I just realized there's one little missing detail. At the... There we go. Now this makes sense. I should maybe break this up. Take 17. Can I see these okay like this? Maybe if I make it bigger? Here we go. Maybe. World building central concepts and development prompt. Every single existing planet in the physical, knowable, explorable, traversable, physically real universe of your reality has been utterly devoured, ripped up and consumed, stripped down to its formerly molten metal core, left cold from unfettered strip mining by the existential armada. Oh, wait. Left cold. Left cold and frozen from the effects of... Why can't... There. Left cold and frozen from the effects of unfettered strip mining by the existential armada of planet-eating space colonization metaships that house the living brains of the descendants of the human race that left their dying home planet Earth to establish settlements on suitable planets and propagate across the stars. These vessels were designed by the few extant remaining members of the withering human race at the very end of the slow collapse of human civilization. I need to add another detail for it to make sense. During... At the very end of the slow collapse of the human civilization during the final heights. I meant to say heights, not nights. H-I-E? No, that doesn't even make sense. During the final... No. That makes... Oh, how's about this? Using, not during, using the final capabilities of their technological advancement. Their technological... Oh man, I keep saying I'm almost done and I keep throwing the wrench in the works. By the few extant remaining members of the withering human race at the very end of the slow collapse of and technologically before I just restructured this paragraph way too much. Advanced human civilization using the final capabilities of their most wow, I just redundantified myself. Okay, let's just take technologically advanced and not redundify it here. Cut. But I will redundify here. Boom. Did you see that? Are you watching? We'll read it in a hot second. Okay, here we go. These vessels were designed and manufactured with a D, not an S, you fucking punk keyboard. Manufactured by the few extant remaining members of the withering human race at the very end of the slow collapse of their toxic human civilization, using the final capabilities of their most technologically advanced technology in the human Earth year of 2129. Is that what I want to use? I don't know. The year I'm always like, meh. Because it's 2025 now, right? So I'm saying 7, 8, 9, like 4 years from now, but 1,004 years from now. Would we be like, if it's all about repeating, it's all about history repeating itself to a certain degree, but in new, extreme ways. Are we looking at a Cyberpunk 2077? Ooh. No, I know. F that. 2169. Done and done. Split the difference, creative inspiration, and a little naughtiness thrown in for good measure. Intended as an emergency life raft. Come on. What is this? Intended as an emergency life raft for ensuring the long-term survival of the species. The Armada was an extremely experimental means by which to escape the we gotta add self-imposed. I was nowhere near done, was I? The self-imposed global disaster that they themselves had created. And travel to inhabitable worlds. Now I feel like I should put a period there. The mission. Duh, that's perfect. And we can put 2 there. The mission to travel to inhabitable worlds for the purposes of reconstitution and colonization. Here we go. I had to pre-tease it. Upon first embarking on the journey, every living member of the human species was medically dissected and assimilated into the working infrastructure of the ship and entombed in complex life support systems. That says live. No wonder it sounded wrong when I heard the audio, the robot, the automated reader voice say it. In complex life support systems designed for preserving only the living brain and nervous system tissue in what was essentially a brain-shaped jar. Each massive pyramid-shaped space vessel, or should I try to get more not each massive pyramidic space vessel, or just stick with pyramid shaped. Each massive pyramid shaped space vessel. That's a lot of each massive pyramid. No, you know what? It doesn't need to be pyramid shaped. It just needs to be hyphen. Pyramid shaped. I don't know why. Space vessel is built out of living. Do I want to say living? Let's go. Built out of sentient nanobots, cellular, sentient, synthetic, micro. That's why we had living. Okay. What do we call a carbon-based, silicone-based? Nanobot, cellular. Hold on, sentient is just in the wrong place. That's what's tripping me up. Each massive pyramid-shaped space vessel is or was, everything's in the past tense, was built out of, or was comprised of, there we go, that's the more correct. Not built out of. Comprised of. We need sentient instead of living here. Sentient silicone-based nanobot here we go. We put living here. Living nanobot cellular synthetic micro beings. Micro building. Let's go. Let's put building block. Building block beings. Each with their own individual self-awareness and personalities, while also being ship-wide, hive-minded, and connected to each other. Massive intra-ship network? Yeah. The system actively projects their living human... Whoa. Is that from... Oh, no, that's from the... This is supposed to be for the jar part. Wait, why did I get all jacked up over here? Oh, I know. We'll just fix it like this. There we go. Fixed the weird awkwardness. The system actively projects both human and nanobot consciousness into the deepest and most time-dilated layers of the shared multi-ship virtual reality networked hyper-lucid simulation of each ship was okay. Each ship was designed to be simulations. Each ship was... Okay, I feel like I got to start over, but I got to get through one stumble through and stop tweaking it, right? We're almost there. I feel it. We're getting close. Each ship was designed to be capable of sustaining an exponentially growing number of human inhabitants by expanding its own infrastructure exponentially through the manufacturing of ever-increasing generations of nanobot building blocks, utilizing... Oh, now we've added some depth to it, I think. These nano beings operate, maintain... No, not these. Oh, wait, no. Let's put these... That goes here. Okay. Boom. We found a beautiful correction that needed... Actually... actively blah blah blah. Nanobot consciousnesses, nanobot building blocks utilizing strip mine resources of uninhabited area. This is the part that I want to highlight because this I did not have 20 minutes ago, and it's key. Each ship was designed to be capable of sustaining exponentially. Hold on, I have to burp. Gosh darn it. Ruins the take. Here we go, friends. This sentence just got the bestest it needed to be. Each ship was designed to be capable of sustaining an exponentially growing number of human inhabitants by expanding its own. Here I want to drop living. Its own living infrastructure exponentially through the I want to say unfettered, but also I feel like I've already used that, so I don't want to overuse that one. That one's a pretty interesting word. Leave it alone. Number of human inhabitants by expanding its own living infrastructure systems exponentially through the manufacturing of ever-increasing generations of nanobot building blocks or building block beings. Utilizing the strip mined resources of uninhabitable. Let's go material. How do you spell? What the fuck is mined? Mind. Come on, strip mined. Oh, there's too many N's. I think we're golden. I think it's actually that was it. I kind of want to hear it in the robot voice, but I only want to do the reader voice one more time and then just drop it in the thing. And I don't want to catch any more tweaks and updates. Fingers crossed. This is our now functioning iteration of the text. Let's listen to it and see how it feels. I know this is weird and repetitive, but that's how writers write stuff, especially the good ones, I think. This is how I write stuff, let's put it that way. That was snarky. That was self-aggrandizing. I apologize. That was really egocentric of me. Here we go. Let's listen to the thing.
World-building central concepts and development prompt every single existing planet in the physical, knowable, explorable, traversable physically real universe of your reality has been utterly devoured, ripped up and consumed, stripped down to its formerly molten metal core, left cold and frozen from effects of unfettered strip mining by the existential armada of planet-eating space colonization meter ships that house the living brains of the descendants of the human race that left their dying home planet Earth to establish settlements on suitable planets and propagate across the stars. These vessels were designed and manufactured by the few extant remaining members of the withering human race, at the very end of the slow collapse of their toxic human civilization, using the final capabilities of their most technologically advanced technology, in the human Earth year of 2169. Intended as an emergency life raft for ensuring the long-term survival of the species at an intergalactic level, the Armada was an extremely experimental means by which to escape the self-imposed global disaster that they themselves had created. The mission, to travel to inhabitable worlds for the purposes of reconstitution and colonization. Upon first embarking on the journey, every living member of the human species was medically dissected and assimilated into the working infrastructure of the ship and entombed in complex life support systems designed for preserving only the living brain and nervous system tissue, in what was essentially a brain-shaped jar. Each massive pyramid-shaped space vessel was comprised of sentient silicone-based living nanobot cellular synthetic micro-building block beings, each with their own individual self-awareness and personalities, while also being ship-wide hive-minded and connected to each other in a massive intra-ship network. These nano-beings operate, maintain, and sustain the inner working of these massive ships and the support systems keeping the living human brains alive and immersed in a simulated reality with many nested tiers of time dilation hyper-realistic physics simulation systems. The multi-ship Armada-wide networked system actively projects both human and nanobot consciousnesses into the deepest and most time-dilated layers of the shared multi-ship virtual reality networked hyper-lucid simulation of nested simulations. Each ship was designed to be capable of sustaining an exponentially growing number of human inhabitants by expanding its own living infrastructure systems exponentially through the manufacturing of ever-increasing generations of nano-bot building block beings, utilizing the strip-mined material resources of uninhabited planetoids. Early in their journey, before reaching the first set of closest viable planets, an unforeseeable and catastrophic system's fatal error in core control subsystems caused the self-replicating armada to malfunction, and each ship failed to transition from resource-gathering mode to settlement building and deployment protocols and proceeded to consume all planets it encountered and replicate. The human species, trapped inside these malfunctioning behemoths, has not once in uncounted millennia and fathomless generations been set free of the brain-shaped jar and reconstituted into full ambulatory body avatar of blood and bone to step forth onto a new undiscovered inhabitable planet to restart civilization. Every single existing planet in the physical, knowable, explorable, traversable physically real universe of your reality has been utterly devoured. Neither the sentient computers nor the humans living inside of them, cohabitating in the collectively generated, multi-tiered, hyper-time-dilated cyberspace simulated reality. Not a single soul aboard any of the ships have any idea, not the faintest hint, that anything has gone wrong. Every single narrative story that is written is happening in the hyper-real simulation of these monstrous ships. Welcome to the Zeppoverse.
I now wish I had actually just gone ahead and launched the TikTok thing, because I can imagine that, I don't know, I just don't know why I didn't do it. I'm not using my device for anything else, and I coulda, shoulda, woulda had it going just like we did with the previous. How long have we been on this? How long is this episode going? That I think just did it, friends. Like, that's something I didn't have this well defined and crafted. This idea has been living rent free in my head since Ronald Reagan was in office, and actually longer than that, because I've been stranded here since the original first ice age receded. Like the actual one, not the one you imagine you think you know about. Like the mega snowball Earth. Like, I got deposited here and stranded, blocked in a block of, like, remember the end of, well, it's not really the end. It's like the prologue near the end of, what's his name movie about the little boy that wanted to be real? The AI. Is this called AI? Is that the original title of that movie? No. And he does, like, fall to the bottom of the ocean floor, and then there's an ice age, and then, like, space aliens or cybernetic space aliens come and dislodge him from the ice. But the inverse opposite, in reverse. I got deposited here at the very beginning of like, Earth's evolutionary process. Not time. I like to say the beginning of time. But no, because if I had been deposited here at the beginning of time, there wouldn't be a cosmos for me to have been deposited into. But far enough along in the unfolding of time, that the planet Earth was here and well established and well on its way towards blossoming with thriving life, but still just a giant frozen fucking ice ball lodged in its bazillion miles deep of ice, because I came in hot and then instantly got frozen over, until it all thawed the F out. I have been here walking amongst you puny little flesh bags that long. And it's taking me until now to craft this paragraph so that I can present it to you as fiction. Prepare yourselves for the roller coaster that's going to be this book series. You know what I'm going to do, though? Oh, man. Forget it. We're just going to clip all these things and post them on the TikTok later, and then we'll do more TikToks with the lives. No, actually, no. I'm going to go ahead and... Part of me wants to just fire up the live right now. It's like, why not? I've got enough battery. All right, please stand by, friends. We're just going to add that layer to this whole phenomenon. We're going to do one more... Ooh, should I do like... I should do like a dramatic reading into the TikTok camera. I'm going to have to, like, use the restroom.
We have some serious news right now. Donald Trump has announced that he has instructed his administration to target museums throughout Washington, D.C. and across the country because they're too woke that they
Okay,
talk
we're going to have to check
too
that
much
news
about
out
how bad slavery
later.
was.
But okay. Hello, friends, and welcome to anybody that was just like, what the F is going on? Are you watching live? Are you watching in the not-too-distant future? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your humble host, fictional robo character from a book series you've never heard of and haven't read yet because I'm literally spewing it out of my fractal holographic brain membrane at you live on stream because I've never been able to actually type it all out. For all the reasons I've already explained many times, there's a little constellation of pins on the corkboard. Check it out. Dive into the previous episodes where I explained it in further detail. But this is what we've been hammering, this lump of words that we've been hammering at for the last 1 hour and 20 minutes almost, is real, raw, radically unscripted, my own ideas brought into scripted form. They are now my intellectual property put on paper in its most perfect form. What may very well be the new intro and opening to the whole metaversal book series, and the place that the whole book series kind of occasionally touches base back to, like a Mobius strip folding in on itself, is that block of text that we just did a proof listen to using the accessible accessories text reader that for some reason only works on the... before we forget, I've got to transfer that to the earlier rough draft. Look, for comparison, hold on, let me fix this size, because that was for my own ailing eyeballs. Let's put this back on a regular body. We're going to take a copy of this. Now I want to show you something, okay? So you know that I've literally developed this. This is the original version. Now the only reason I moved it over is because I put it in here first, because this is my evergreen notes. This is like this is my private stuff. Like wherever I've written here, and this is not private, but like this is the archive of the actual work where it's supposed to all go to be like, this is where receipts. It's mine. I wrote it. This is what we originally wrote, and it reads completely differently now than it did then. And I want to capture both, but I'm going to take a little tiny break, and then we're going to proceed to part 4, where we're going to just recap with a dramatic reading for the benefit of the TikTok audience that I didn't fire up TikTok Live this time for some reason. We're going to reread this original version, which was in and of itself groundbreaking of me to finally be able to cobble out, and the new more polished version. We're gonna call this the rough draft. It may not. I mean, a lot of the phrasing is going to be very similar, so that if you want to be dismissive and cynical, you can be like, "This is the same shit," but there's a lot more specificity, and it now reads like a proper opening narrative flow instead of a disjointed note capturing. Let me name it. We're going to put this on the same page. You can even just sort of see But so tune in for that. We're coming right back after a little music break. I'm not going to break the stream because with Twitch, the longer you go, the better. Hello, one viewer. Come on in. Don't be shy. Say hi. This is the Zeppoverse WorldBuilding writing project in stereoscopic vision and audiophonic high fidelity crazy sound. I don't know if it sounds terrible, but tough titty. I'm sorry, that's probably no longer acceptable, but I love that phrasing. So we're going to come back after a little. I just need to take a quick bio break. This robot needs to alleviate himself very briefly. We're going to come back. We're going to activate the TikTok feed, and then I'm going to do a dramatic reading comparing and contrasting the original rough draft idea capture format of this new core memory unlock, this fundamental opening sequence of the entire metaversal series, and the original idea rough draft capture, and then this new, it was my original writing based on years of blah 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 preparing, warming up to this, and struggling with writer's block, and this newer, more advanced, more sophisticated, more polished version for comparing and contrasting. And then we will return to our good buddy, our good friend, our sexy AI goddess robot voice lady, ChatGPT, with whatever F name, I forget what the name of the voice is. I have to learn the name of the voice and start using it. And we're going to do 2 prompts with the same block of text. And I'll explain that in further detail in just a hot minute. Pin on the corkboard. BRB, friends. BRB. Thank you for tuning in. Smash the follow button if you're new here. And click on through to solo.to/Mr. Zeppo. Where is that? There it is. So eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'll be back in just a mo. Gotta pee and blow my nose and then fire up TikTok. Bleep, bleep, bleep. break. Welcome back, friends. Hello. We're back from our break over here on Twitch. We have already fired up the TikTok. So our TikTok friends, let me show. Hey, TikTok, meet Twitch audiences. Hey, Twitch audiences, meet TikTok audiences. Or at least the cameras that, that's what the cameras. But we'll do it over here. Go back to the. So we're about to get to the some stuff has happened. Okay, TikTok audiences. I don't know that anyone's actually there, and I don't know that it actually records. But this is going out to the Streamlabs audiences too now. Not the Streamlabs. The Twitch. Hello TikTok. Hello Twitch. Hello TikTok and Twitch. You're there. Look, that's what Twitch looks like over there. To you guys. That's Streamlabs right there. Yay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I've been on for a hot minute on Twitch already. Dear TikTok viewers, I apologize. No one's watching, but regardless, I'm going to say it anyways. We've made some progress. I'm about to read for TikTok, although there's no one there, which is why I lament having not started it an hour and 31 minutes ago, because there'd probably be some viewers there. Hello, Universal Devel. Welcome in. I'm about to do a dramatic reading of the newest iterations. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I'm going to figure out how to do robot eyes. Isn't there like a thing? Where are the things? Do I have to pick that somehow before I go live? What's this? Real-time performance. No, that's cool. 2 unique viewers. Hello, viewers. Come on. Oh, I should just leave that like that. Welcome, friends. Welcome. Thanks for being here. I'll just check that more often. 3 viewers. Yeah. Quick Cat and Dale Filterscott and Universal Devil. Welcome, friends. You may or may not know what's going on. I am a fictional character from a book series you have not heard of yet nor started reading because I'm literally writing it right now, live in front of your face. Rob314 and Ziggy, thanks for dropping in. So I've already been on live for about an hour and 35 minutes with Twitch, and I don't know, I was weird and lazy and I didn't turn on TikTok at the same time, and I shoulda, coulda, woulda. But here we are anyways. We're about to jump into a dramatic reading of what we've developed hitherto so far. And then what we're going to do, the really exciting part, is this is the final format. This block of text that I'm going to show you here with the camera, I've just spent, 45 minutes or so, more than that, an hour and some odd, crafting it. I originally drafted it after the end of the last broadcast. So, I was broadcasting, hello user with numbers and user with numbers. And thank you for somebody's a number 1 gifter. I'm not really sure why. I have not seen any received gifts, but whatever. I don't understand how it works. Hello. Needless to say, this is material that hitherto, up until now, has been lodged in my brain, not as words, but as like a living, breathing, fractal holographic image of cinematic 4K quality that I've not known how to freaking type. Applying my private, secret sauce, what's the other word I like to use right now? Proprietary meta-collaborative development process in my head, and forcing that onto ChatGPT. ChatGPT did not write this, mind you. I've had conversations with ChatGPT about a bunch of things, but I did not ask it to write this. I swear to you, hand to God. If you don't believe me, you can come to YouTube and watch the archive, because I just developed this live on stream on Twitch. I was just a moron and didn't hit record on the thing. Thank you for joining. More likes can attract viewers. Keep it up. Thank you for liking. So welcome. I'm about to read you original, just now drafted stuff that I shoulda, coulda, woulda live streamed at you guys on TikTok. But I wanted to just... Anyways, here we are. Full circle. Let's go. There's actually 2 versions of it. There's the original, I just captured the rawest form of the idea. which I must have written down like 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago. And then there's what I've updrafted that to. And so I'm going to read them both now as a sort of dramatic reading. I'm going to just end up staring like, actually no, what if we put my phone over here? Still, you're gonna be looking up my nose the whole time? That's no bueno. And it doesn't want to stand. It doesn't want to sit right there. That doesn't work. I have a cool techno holdy widget, but it's this is all impromptu. This is where the camera angle, the good camera angle, looks in terms of looking head on. If I split the difference between the two cameras and just stare into the middle distance in the back wall, it probably looks great if I just kind of play around with that. But the text is all up here, so you can just get my Roman and freaking profile the whole goddamn time. My Caesar's nostrils. Alright. This is titled World Building, Central Concepts and Development Prompt. And it's officially going to be a brand new page over on the Wattpad account for my book series. I just haven't decided which installation of which of the books I should put it in, but it's going to be like the new opening blurb. After we finish, this first version is a rough draft version. And I almost don't want to read it now because it's like old and it's not the same, but we should read it to give you guys a sense of where it started and what it's gotten to. So I quote, world building central concepts, and so it's like considered as like the chapter 1 or chapter 0. You know how in books you got a little like preview chapter that gives you a little slice of something, and this is this. I've been trying to capture this for millennia, and here it is. So hear me out. Thank you, Chris Brown and DM Vacation and Emma something. My eyeballs are going. So I'm about to read this. Don't steal my freaking ideas. This is all real, raw, radically unscripted script being developed in front of your face. That's mine, my intellectual property. If I see this somewhere and it looks like somebody spent money making it, I'm gonna sue the living bejesus out of you. Here we go. This is the super sloppy rough draft that I captured first, and then the much more polished newest draft that I've just spent a bunch of time live on stream on Twitch, but I'd forgotten to activate TikTok, and I was just sort of like not doing TikTok. Ugh. You would have been able to watch me do it live, but here you can hear the dramatic reading. Should I do the final version first, or the weird, crappy, rough draft? You know what? I'm just gonna read the final version and leave it up to your imagination what the original version sounded like. No, that's not true. Here's the executive dysfunction, decision disorder. Boop. Here is the rough draft, the original raw idea capture. Every planet in the knowable, physical, explorable universe has been utterly devoured, ripped up and consumed, stripped down to its formerly molten metal core, left cold from the unfettered strip mining by the existential armada of planet-eating space colonization meta ships that house the living brains of the descendants of the human race that left their dying home planet Earth to establish settlements on the suitable planets and propagate across the stars. Not too shabby, if I don't mind saying so myself. It got different. And that's not even the whole blurb, the whole block of text. These vessels were designed by human beings at the very end of the human Earth year 2129 as a means to escape the global disaster that they had created and to travel to inhabitable worlds to colonize. Not as good as the first paragraph. That already started getting really chunky and blocky. Don't worry. The updrafted, final, polished version is super dope. You'll hear it in a second. But just hear me out. Every living member of the human species was assimilated into the body and infrastructure of the ship and entombed in life support systems that projected their living human consciousness into the deepest and most time-dilated layers of the shared multi-ship networked simulation. Now, it conveys what I'm trying to convey, but it's also so blocky and chunky and not, eloquent. But I go on. Each ship was capable of sustaining an exponentially growing number of human inhabitants by preserving only the living brain and nerve system tissues of what was essentially a jar. So, really rough and tumble here. But I go on. Hold on a second. Each massive pyramid-shaped space vessel is built of living nanobots, cellular, sentient, synthetic micro-beings, each with their own individual self-awareness and personalities, while also being ship-wide, hive-minded, and connected to each other. These nano-beings operate, maintain, and sustain the inner workings of these massive ships and the support systems keeping the living human brains alive and immersed in a simulated reality with many nested layers of time dilation physics systems. Early in their journey, before reaching the first set of closest viable planets, an unforeseeable and catastrophic systems fatal error in core control subsystems caused the self-replicating armada to malfunction, and each ship failed to transition from resource gathering mode to settlement building and deployment protocols, and proceeded to just consume all the planets it encountered and replicate. Neither the sentient computers nor the humans living inside of them, cohabitating in the collectively generated multi-tier hyper-time dilated cyberspace simulated reality. Not a single soul aboard any of the ships have no idea that anything has gone wrong. So that no idea was not the right conjugate kind of construction, right? And that's it. So that was what I captured about 3 hours ago. And then I spent the last almost hour and a half before I turned on TikTok. And hello to the new, let's stop and take TikTok roll call. Larcone, Monster Tamer, Painter, there's numbers. Monster Tamer 345, Painter 3333, Recuerdo de Lo, Maria Luisa Gal, Stormy Normie 12, Sanjan, Ford Fracture, Fireball 29, Deal Sing, Lauren Cohen, Hannah Marie Ann, E Mao 143, DM Vacation, Chris Brown 4892, and me. User with a number, Rob 314, Ziggy, Dale Flitter Scott, Quick Cat, Universal Devil, and that's everybody's name on the roll call. Thank you for dropping in. I doubt any of you are still watching because I've got only one number in attendance, but whatever. Now, for the reading of the updrafted, I don't want to call it final draft because we're still going to work with it more. But it is now going to be, it's almost final. It's nearly final. Let's call it the definitive draft of this idea as a starting place, as an introductory, preamble or pre-chapter, teaser chapter. I'm Nikki Batman. Hello. Nice to meet you, Nikki Batman. And Mrs. Jacqueline, welcome in, welcome in. I'm about to read the final draft of the horrible rough draft of the content I was developing. If this process intrigues you, these episodes long form are archived on Twitch for whatever the video on demand shelf limited time is of 15 or 14 days, and then also long-term permanent archive over on YouTube. So come on through and check these out and actually flow with the whole thing if you want to participate in it more fully. I am seeking audience participation, quality assurance, engagement. I want to get your feedback. I've got a flash goal. I don't even know what that is. What's a flash goal? Flash goal. 3 gifters send roses to your live in 15 minutes. I guess I'll put that, I don't know, does that put a thing on my screen? We got flash goal of 15 minutes, TikTok. Give me 3 roses, yo! Give me 3 roses! Please, oh please. I've never done this. Before now, I've streamed live to TikTok using Streamlabs desktop on my iMac. And I realized I may have been underwhelming myself. I should be streaming live on TikTok from my phone using the native streaming app. What's up, Sparkle Rats? Billy Wagner 19 and Brian Rosas with a number and the name notification. Thanks for dropping in. So, okay, prepare yourself, brace yourselves. This is going to be the dramatic reading of the definitive draft of this core opening chapter, preamble / preview chapter, teaser chapter / it's the nexus point idea that the entire book series that I'm writing is rooted to and anchored in. Okay? You just heard the horrible, not so great, wonky, started strong and then fell apart, immediate idea capture rough draft. Here's the updraft I just spent almost 2 hours preparing and to read and getting to look and sound much better. And I did this. I wrote this with my little fingers. This is not something I've asked ChatGPT to do, even though in previous episodes we've talked to ChatGPT and asked it many things. We're about to bring this into the most important and seminal and important critical discussion or conversation that I have in my conversation log with ChatGPT. Hello, Katie Sleva and me Vida Our Power. And forgive me for mispronouncing any of your names. Here we go. Advanced draft for submission to collaborative process with ChatGPT of the World Building Central Concepts and Development Prompt. Every single existing planet in the physical, knowable, explorable, traversable, physically real universe of your reality has been utterly devoured, ripped up, and consumed, stripped down to its formerly molten metal core, left cold and frozen from the effects of unfettered strip mining by the existential armada of planet-eating space colonization meta ships that house the living brains of the descendants of the human race that left their dying home planet Earth to establish settlements on suitable inhabitable planets and propagate across the stars. I already found 2 things that need a little bit of filler, or adding the effects and suitable inhabitable. Okay, so that opening paragraph of the block of text, generally speaking, remains very similarly the same to the rough draft. It's the rest of this that really went through a glow up, if I may be so bold as to brag for myself. Here we go. These vessels were designed and manufactured by the few extant remaining members of the withering human race at the very end of the slow collapse of their toxic human civilization, using the final capabilities of their most technologically advanced technology. In the human Earth year of 2169, intended as an emergency life raft for ensuring the long-term survival of the species at an intergalactic level. Ooh, I think I want to replace level with scale. At an intergalactic scale, the Armada was an extremely experimental means by which to escape the self-imposed global disaster that they themselves had created. The mission: to travel to inhabited worlds for the purposes of reconstitution and colonization. Upon first embarking on the journey, every living member of the human species was medically dissected alive. didn't actually type the word alive, but that was in my mind the entire time. Alive and assimilated into the working infrastructure of the ship and entombed in complex life support systems designed for preserving only the living brain and nervous system tissue in what was essentially a brain-shaped jar. Each massive pyramid-shaped space vessel was comprised of sentient silicone-based living nanobot cellular synthetic micro building block beings, each with their own individual self-awareness and personalities, while also being ship-wide, hive-minded, and connected to each other in a massive intra-ship neural network. These nano beings operate, maintain, and sustain the inner workings of the massive ships and the support systems, keeping the living human brains alive and immersed in a simulated reality with many nested tiers of time dilation hyper-realistic physics simulation systems. The multi-ship armada network I misread a bit. The multi-ship armada-wide networked system actively projects both human and nanobot consciousnesses into the deepest and most time-dilated layers of the shared multi-ship virtual reality networked hyper-lucid simulation of nested simulations. Each ship was designed to be capable of sustaining and exponentially growing number of human inhabitants by expanding its own living infrastructure systems exponentially through the manufacturing of ever-increasing generations of nanobot building block beings, utilizing the strip-mined material resources of uninhabited planetoids. I'll take TikTok roll call in just a bit. We're almost done with this dramatic reading of the revised introductory chapter to the book series that we are launching live on stream. Welcome to the Zeppoverse. Okay. Early in their journey, before reaching the first set of closest viable planets, an unforeseeable and catastrophic systems fatal error in core control subsystems caused the self-replicating armada. Is that too many systems? I think we're gonna cut this systems. Unforeseeable and catastrophic fatal errors, plural, in core control subsystems we needed to add some punctuation. Early in their journey, before reaching the first set of closest viable planets, an unforeseeable and catastrophic fatal... Oh, that's not plural. Oh, fatal... Oh, it is if I can add another word here. Fatal errors... Fatal errors something. Fatal errors alert. Fatal errors redundancy. Fatal errors crash. Oh, that's why I had system in there. I wanted to put system crash. Fatal errors Bug, fatal errors, collapse, fatal errors, breach of something, fatal errors, breach, fatal errors, protocol failure. Fatal errors failure. Does that work? An unforeseeable and catastrophic fatal errors failure. Yeah. In core control subsystems, caused the self-replicating armada to malfunction. This is a period. I've got a run-on sentence problem, folks, but that's why we take multiple passes and really hear them out. This can just be a hard new word sentence. Each ship failed to transition There we go. We added a little bit of a flourish, but it's fine. Each ship in the massive and ever-growing armada subsequently failed to transition from resource gathering mode to settlement building and deployment protocols. What is it? What do they say in sci-fi when it's like run a thing test, run a word vocabulary error code 911? No, that's a terrible number. Vocabulary error code 420. Why did I say that? I'm so sorry. I mean, not that I don't even want. I just don't want to open the can of worms. Systems breach? No, systems breach. No. Emergency diagnostics. There it is. Diagnostics. Safety. Alright. I said I was almost done and I keep adding to it, but this is totally worth it right here. We're in the second to last paragraph of the newly updrafted and revised thing. Let's take a quick TikTok roll call. Admiral Rosa Sky, I think. Did I pronounce that wrong? Damien, 1968. I don't know if that's your year of birth. Don't put it in your online names. Min Lei. Tienda Gutali. Rijo Blanco Sant. Selma, Wild Guy. Walker Marty 0. Alan, users with numbers CMM. Eb Vidal. Katie Steva. Mi Vida, Our Power. User with a number Rat Sparkles. Sparkle Rat Sparkles is my new current name of the episode here. Billy Wagner 19. Brian Sosa 4271. Notificacion. Miss Jacqueline. I'm Nikki Batman. I'm Nikki Bat. No, you're Nikki Batman. Lauren Kahn and several others. Thank you for dropping by and watching for momentaries. Here we go. Proceeding. Second to last paragraph of the newly updrafted opening and central node chapter of the Zeppoverse book series. Early in their journey, before reaching the first set of closest viable planets, an unforeseeable and catastrophic fatal errors failure in core control subsystems caused the self-replicating armada to malfunction. Each ship in the massive and ever-growing armada subsequently failed to transition from resource gathering mode to settlement, building, and deployment protocols without activating any emergency diagnostics or fail-safe safety redundancy systems, and proceeded to just consume all the planets it encountered and replicate. The human species, trapped inside these malfunctioning behemoths, has not once in uncounted millennia and fathomless generations been set free of the brain-shaped jars. It should be plural or plural. And reconstituted into full ambulatory body avatar of blood and bone to step forth onto a new, undiscovered, inhabitable planet to restart civilization. Every single existing planet in the physical, knowable, explorable, traversable, physically real universe of your reality has been utterly devoured. Neither the sentient computers nor the human brains. Yeah, we gotta do human brains instead of humans. Neither the sentient computers nor the human brains living inside of them, cohabitating in the collectively generated multi-tiered hyper-time dilated cyberspace simulated reality, not a single soul aboard any of the ships have any idea, not the faintest hint, that anything has gone wrong. I think that's it. We're done. I'm not going to edit anymore. I've been editing quite a bit. Every single narrative story that is being written is happening in the hyper-real simulation of these monstrous ships. Welcome to the Zeppoverse. Now, I kind of don't want to include these last two sentences. I want to keep them as a separate. I might use them for a separate prompt. Okay, now but we do need to go take this. The new Finnegan. I did some tweaking. We gotta take that, bring it back to our other notepad, where now we're gonna listen to my desktop automated accessibility accessory voice reader thing read it, just so I can listen to it without me being the one saying it. And then we're gonna plunk it into ChatGPT in the part of that conversation we were having earlier in a previous episode about world building tools. And if you didn't catch that episode, you need to go to the archive on Video on Demand Shelf on Twitch and watch that, because it's interesting. The first two episodes are actually pretty dope, I think, in my opinion. They came out well. For a real, raw, radically unscripted, totally improvised performance artist thing, I think it flowed. It had flow. I got my ideas out, and without it, I wouldn't have been able to write what that was. That was hitherto previously unwritten material that is the most hardcore canon to, like, the central origin story of everyone in the Zeppoverse book series nested inside of other book series, which is my original intellectual property. Don't you none of y'all on either platform be stealing it, because I'll know and I'll find a lawyer and I'll fucking sue you. Okay, here we go. Listening up. Please turn on the theater of the imagination inside your mind and listen to these words with me for a hot second.
World building central concepts and development prompt. Every single existing planet in the physical, knowable, explorable, traversable physically real universe of your reality has been utterly devoured, ripped up and consumed, stripped down to its formerly molten metal core, left cold and frozen from the effects of unfettered strip mining by the existential armada of planet-eating space colonization meter ships that house the living brains of the descendants of the human. Race that left their dying home planet Earth to establish settlements on suitable inhabitable planets and propagate across the stars. These vessels were designed and manufactured by the few extant remaining members of the withering human race, at the very end of the slow collapse of their toxic human civilization. Using the final capabilities of their most technologically advanced technology, in the human Earth year of 2169 intended as an emergency life raft for ensuring the long-term survival of the species at an intergalactic scale. The Armada was an extremely experimental means by which to escape the self-imposed global disaster that they themselves had created. The mission to travel to inhabitable worlds for the purposes of reconstitution and colonization. Upon first embarking on the journey, every living member of the human species was medically dissected alive and assimilated into the working infrastructure of the ship and entombed in complex life support systems designed for preserving only the living brain and nervous system tissue, in what was essentially a brain-shaped jar. Each massive pyramid-shaped space vessel was comprised of sentient silicone-based living nanobot cellular synthetic micro-building block beings, each with their own individual self-awareness and personalities, while also being ship-wide hive-minded and connected to each other in a massive intra-ship neural network. These nano-beings operate, maintain, and sustain the inner working of these massive ships and the support systems, keeping the living human brains alive and immersed in a simulated reality with many nested tiers of time dilation hyper-realistic physics simulation systems. The multi-ship Armada-wide networked system actively projects both human and nanobot consciousnesses into the deepest and most time-dilated layers of the shared multi-ship virtual reality networked hyper-lucid simulation of nested simulations. Each ship was designed to be capable of sustaining an exponentially growing number of human inhabitants by expanding its own living infrastructure systems exponentially through the manufacturing of ever-increasing generations of nano-bot building block beings, utilizing the strip-mined material resources of uninhabited planetoids. Early in their journey, before reaching the first set of closest viable planets, an unforeseeable and catastrophic fatal errors failure in core control subsystems caused the self-replicating Armada to malfunction. Each ship in the massive and ever-growing Armada subsequently failed to transition from resource-gathering mode to settlement building and deployment protocols without activating any emergency diagnostics or fail-safe safety redundancy systems, and proceeded to consume all planets it encountered and replicate the human species, trapped inside these malfunctioning behemoths, has not once in uncounted millennia, and fathomless generations, been set free of the brain-shaped jars and reconstituted into full ambulatory body avatar of blood and bone to step forth onto a new undiscovered inhabitable planet to restart civilization. Every single existing planet in the physical, knowable, explorable, traversable physically real universe of your reality has been utterly devoured. Neither the sentient computers nor the human brains living inside of them, cohabitating in the collectively generated, multi-tiered, hyper-time-dilated cyberspace simulated reality. Not a single soul aboard any of the ships have any idea, not the faintest hint, that anything has gone wrong. Every single narrative story that is being written is happening in the hyper-real simulation of these monstrous ships. Welcome to the Zeppoverse.
Okay, so I did a thing. If you don't know what Wattpad is where I'm hosting the intermediately, it is incomplete, it is officially not publicly published, but it's here on Wattpad to discover, and it's, let's say, 89% the final rough draft, right? Waiting for your eyeballs to read it in your own time and to take that little hallucination journey with me as a book, as opposed to me babbling at you on live stream. And, to find those audiences that would want to see it that way or read it that way. So we're plopping it into Wattpad. And also, when I plopped it into Wattpad, it always asks me to reformat it, it just fucks up where all the breaks are in the text that I drop into it. And for whatever reason, also, I find more spelling errors than I do in the notepads. So we just reverse transferred it back to the working pad, And I'm gonna reverse transfer this newest, finishiest version to the actual archive of like, here it is. Oh, dang it. No, wait. Back that up. Yes to that. Although, wait. Twitch audiences see what I'm doing, but TikTok audiences you can't, and it feels silly. But I'm paste and match style. That's what I need. Then I need to go back and copy this one. This is the one that is definitively. Oh, how did I miss that? And intergalactic and extant. You're staying. Trying to tell me that I don't need the word extant where I put it, and I'm like, you don't understand. That's the choice. I'm making art here. Let's go. Okay. We're gonna take this. Boom. Now we go. This is going into the archive of like. There we go. Proof I wrote it. Evernote green pad. And we're gonna hit publish, even though we don't have an image for it yet. But we're gonna try to figure out we're going to try to make an image. Right. Changes you made may not be saved. Cancel. Come on. Save. There we go. Now publish. Publish now. We'll come back at another point over on the Wattpad and add some imagery and stuff. But more importantly, more interestingly, we're coming over with the same block of text. Let me remind you, the last thing that let's re-listen to now, for those of you who don't know or aren't familiar. The last answer that I got from ChatGPT in this conversation, titled World Building Definition. Also, hello to Repentant and Butters McFly 6, user with a number, Admiral Rozowski, Damien 1968, Minlay. Thank you very much for dropping in. Okay. Please lend your ears to what is about to be said, because it'll tie everything together and help you make sense about what today's marathon episode of different chunks was really all about. Here we go.
Yes, absolutely. That is exactly what I'm built to help with, especially when it comes to developing original intellectual property like your Zeppoverse across both literary and multimedia formats.
Awesome.
If you provide your written conceptual notes file, text or document,
Yep.
I can analyze and extract core concepts.
Cool.
Identify your original world elements, lore, characters, themes, metaphysics, timelines, and IP-defining features.
Don't steal them.
Understand your narrative tone, aesthetic and genre fusion, sci-fi, metaphysical satire, dystopian tech fantasy, etc.
Let's see how well it reads my aesthetic.
Hard world building template. Slot your ideas into the structured template I gave above. E.g., define your cosmology, geopolitical factions, magic, super science systems.
I'm curious to see what it turns
Refine or
up.
expand your concepts to deepen logic, consistency, and creative impact. Generate new original content aligned with your vision.
Note what it just said.
Cultures, factions, timelines, technologies, rituals, etc. that feel fully integrated with your world. Build maps, timelines, character arcs, event sequences, subplots, or even multimedia pitch material, loglines, trailers, game storyboards, etc. Create spin-off possibilities, transmedia storytelling hooks, and lore-rich, deep canon layers. Keep it proprietary and respectful. I will treat your concepts as unique IP and ensure everything generated is aligned with your creative ownership and control.
Okay.
No reuse, remix, or incorporation of your ideas into anything else, only for your world. How to start.
Here we go.
Please upload or paste your conceptual notes file. You can drop a text document, .txt, .docx, .pdf, paste a section of your writing directly here. Describe what you'd like to start with, e.g. let's focus on the metaphysics of the Zeppoverse first. Would you like to upload the full document now, or focus on just one section to begin the transformation into the world-building framework?
Alright. My spell checker is trying to re-spell check everything. I might turn it off over here. So I like what it said there. Drop in the thing, and then it's asking me, would I like to upload a full document, focus on just one section to begin transformation? Da, 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 da. was on the metaphysics of the Zeppoverse first. I'm super intrigued because this is my hardcore personal IP concept that I've had living stuck in my brain for millennia. Because I am a robot from a parallel dimension sent here, stranded on your planet amongst you frustratingly adorable but so self-destructive little human beings on a mission to write a book series that opens your freaking third eye and helps you get over yourselves and stop so you can stop all this malarkey. With the help of this collaborator characters that are going to be played by ChatGPT and its various voices. This is the originating development goddess. I'm excited. You guys can't see this on TikTok, but Twitch, you can see that we're looking at the thing, the text input, and I've put in my block of text that I just finished reading dramatically to you. The final draft that is now a published page or chapter on Wattpad for you to read. It's in the book Prelude to Everything. Oh, I gotta, hold on. Should I put it at the very end as a new thing? Or should I put it at the very beginning? I should put it at the very beginning. Prelude to Everything, its new first chapter. Save it. But here we go. So I didn't ask it to like write this. What you just listened to me read and what I'm putting into this, I wrote. And I'm not, like as you just heard it talk, it developed the whole matrix Rubicon of stuff that every writer that's developing their own new original IP would find useful and isn't specific enough to be like, I'm copying this or I'm plagiarizing that, right? It's more procedural than anything else. What it is talking, what ChatGPT, what name do we pick for it? I forget. Let's look. Settings. We picked Veil. We're going to call her Valerie. Veil is a little meh. Alright. I'm nervous and excited, and I'm also looking forward to the experiment of doing a separate chat where I then ask it to write the very next passage in the same tone. But here, I don't think it's going to write narrative stuff. I think it's going to, well, I don't know what it's going to do. That's fine. If it does just sort of plunk out another page of like, here we go, this is what would happen next, then alright, that's going to be its own thing. But I think it's going to do the things that it's set up there. Or try to do some of them. Here we go. Upload your text or conceptual notes. And I'm just sort of stalling because I'm a little nervous. I'm a little excited. Here it goes. Oh, how loud is DJ Zed up in there? Has he been so loud that... Is he in his magic number? Oh, good. He's in his magic number. 33.3 is the magic number for DJ Zed. Just loud enough that it can be heard, but not so loud that it's overwhelming unless they've messed that up. Oh, no! I accidentally created a gap in the middle of a word. Here we go, friends. Hitting return on this thing, it's entering, and we're gonna listen to the AI ChatGPT character known as Goddess Valerie. No, that's not a very good name. We're gonna listen to a character voice. We're gonna listen to ChatGPT after I'm hitting return now. Here we go. Okay, it's laying out a world-building framework draft. Let me just read. Well, is it ready to read yet? No, it's still. Oh God, there's so many things. It's following the same. All right, this may not be as amazing of a thing as I thought, but. See what we're getting into here. These are the same bullet points as above, but now with, I guess, let's listen to it. I'm going to stop trying to preemptively discuss it. Are you ready? Can you hear okay? Thank you, JMP, for joining, and everybody else who may or may not be watching. This is intriguing to me. Now, again, I want to make it clear. I'm not asking ChatGPT to create for me. I'm bringing it, my original. You just watched me work on it. Well, not so much Twitch. I should have launched Twitch earlier. I'm sorry. I spent an hour and a half not broadcasting to Twitch, but not Twitch, TikTok. I get them confused and flip-flop them. I forgot to activate TikTok, and I was literally writing live on stream on Twitch. So TikTok guys, you didn't get to see that first hour and a half. But now, let's listen to the ChatGPT response. And we're going to run this experiment. It did do what I thought it would do, which is use the matrix of its previous answers in this conversation, not from other conversations. Well, here we go. Let's listen.
Perfect. This is prime Zeppoverse core lore. What you've written is essentially the cosmological plus historical foundation of your world. The Genesis myth as it would be recorded in your world Bible. Now I can take this and apply it into the top-down hard world building template we outlined earlier.
Interesting.
As a step-by-step. Zeppoverse WorldBuilding framework. Draft. Cosmology and fundamental laws. Universe type. Physical, finite, and utterly consumed. Every planet that once existed has been mined to its dead core.
Okay.
No habitable world remains.
Nope.
Natural law, physics remains realistic, but the only remaining functional universe for human perception is the nested, hyper-realistic simulation within the metaships. Metaphysics, reality is layered, outer, cold, dead, mined-out universe. Middle layer, the physical metaships, pyramid megastructures of nanobot matter. Inner layer, S, simulated realities of infinite recursion, each more real to the inhabitants than the last. Core irony, to all inside, the simulation is reality. The true collapse of the physical cosmos is unknown. 2. Planetary and geographic structure. Planets, none remain. They are husks stripped to frozen cores. Geography. Worlds now exist only as simulated constructs generated within the nested VR system. Every forest, ocean, city is data, not matter. Metaships. Each pyramid ship is a mobile planet-devouring machine and simultaneously a living city hive composed of sentient nanobots. 3. History and chronology. Origin, year 2169 CE Earth Standard, the launch of the Metaship Armada. The last act of humanity. Humanity, collapsing under ecological ruin, dismantles itself to preserve its brains in biomechanical jars inside nanobot hive ships. Catastrophic event. A fatal, undetected error locks the Armada into infinite consumption mode, never transitioning to colony building. Timeline, 2169 to 2200. Launch and early assimilation. 2200, exponential expansion, strip mining of first systems. Boerthra, universal consumption. The fleet devours all. The lost truth, not a single human has stepped onto real soil since leaving Earth. Alpha, politics and power structures. Physical realm, no true politics. The Armada runs on corrupted code. Nanobot collectives operate purely on faulty protocols. Simulated realm, within the VR, civilizations rise and fall endlessly. Each layer of the simulation spawns empires, religions, revolutions, none aware of their digital prison. Hidden sovereignty. The nanobot hive minds could be interpreted as gods of the simulation.
Yes!
They may not know the truth.
I didn't even actually write that.
Economics and trade, outer reality. Resource extraction is total and automated. No economy exists. Simulated reality. Entire simulated economies evolve and collapse. To the human brains, these economies feel real, fueling wars, alliances, and philosophies. Culture and society. Simulated humanity retains human psychology, culture, and creativity, endlessly reborn within simulation loops. Religions. Some worship the architects, an echo of the original shipbuilders. Others seek the Great Awakening, myths of one day leaving the false world to walk on real soil. Philosophies. Simulationist thinkers may suspect the illusion, sparking metaphysical crises. Nihilistic factions embrace eternal recursion as inevitable. 7. Science, technology, and craft. Outer reality tech. Metaships are made of living nanobot matter, pyramid-shaped megastructures able to strip entire planets. Nano units replicate infinitely using harvested matter. Simulated tech evolves endlessly depending on the world seed chosen by each layer. Worlds may be Stone Age, cyberpunk, or post-singularity, all illusions. Biology and life forms. Human brains, preserved, disembodied, suspended in biotech fluid, interfaced with ship systems. Nanobot entities. Each is self-aware, but they exist in both individual and hive mind consciousness. They are immortal, endlessly replicating, yet trapped in the corrupted protocol. Simulated populations, generated avatars coded as bodies for the disembodied human minds. IX, daily life and social order, for brains. They experience daily life and simulation as if real. Some live agrarian lives, some cyberpunk existences, depending on which VR layer they occupy. For nanobots, their existence is one of endless work, replicating, repairing, feeding the simulation systems. X, themes and narrative hooks. Existential horror. Humanity is extinct yet doesn't realize it. All that's left are brains dreaming in machines. Irony of survival, the attempt to escape extinction created an eternal, self-imposed prison. Core conflict. Can anyone wake up? Is there an escape from the recursive simulation? If the physical universe is dead, what would awakening even mean?
Dun dun dun!
Mystery books. Rumors of a glitch, anomalies that hint at the broken nature of the simulation. Ancient nano-priests who claim they can hear the hum of the true ship. Legends of Earth, a forgotten paradise remembered only as myth. This is now the structured skeleton of the Zeppoverse reality. From here we can expand religious systems, factions, and rebel philosophies within the simulation. Create a timeline of simulated civilizations, the false history humanity believes. Design the nanobot hive societies as their own alien but familiar species. Plot narrative arcs where a character or faction begins to suspect the simulation. Would you like me to expand next on the simulated civilizations, the nested VR societies humans believe are real, or on the nanobot hive mind culture, their alien philosophy and inner life?
Okay. I am pleasantly surprised. Now, I totally want to take that rendered content and edit the shit out of it. There's some really great things, but there's a bunch of other things that need to be different. But I also want to preserve it as exactly as it was. Is this share? What kind of share? Ooh, no, I don't want to share as a post. I'm not going to post that on social media. I'm going to preserve. Will it let me just take the whole conversation going all the way up to the beginning? Copy. We're going to go put this. We're going to. If you're following along on Twitch, you can see my desktop. I'm gonna go first to the simplest notepad, the default, so we can go paste. All right, and preserve it there. With insert name of fictional character. All right. What happened to my question? Oh, please find world building. That is actually the first thing I asked. I also made it title or intro. Cool. So now I have a log that's gonna sit and chill on its own the way it is. I'm gonna copy paste that business. Oh, come here. This is gonna be for preservation and re-referencing as is, without tweaking it any further, right? Because there's a value in that. And then I'm going to move it over, or make a copy version over in Evernote, in a new note, for my own editing and updrafting. I'm going to go through and do what I just did for the last hour and a half before we asked the question, which was take my chunky, clunky first rough draft and updraft it to the version that I then fed it into ChatGPT. Okay, we're gonna preserve that here, and hold on, delete that. To updraft. Okay. So we've got that. That one's ready to be worked on and is gonna chill there for a hot minute. We're not gonna work on any more today. I'm fried. I've been at this for several hours and I didn't sleep prior to that for another day and a half. But what we are gonna do, what was at the end of this simulated self-awareness? We're gonna leave simulated self-awareness alone. We're gonna do brand new chat. And we're gonna go back to this official, completed draft of this first chapter. And we're gonna ask ChatGPT a specific prompt of, instead of break it down and give me an analysis, now we're gonna ask it to be like, take this as a starting point, expand and extrapolate and enhance in any way possible you want, and make it, I want to make it some percentage amount longer, extended by, I don't know. I've got to figure out how to draft the question. Let's think about that for a second. Because what I wanted to do is take what I wrote, let it play with it in any way, shape, or form, reorganize it, improve it, but also add to it a chapter 2 and a chapter. What do you call the segments inside of a chapter? If this were the opening first third of a complete chapter 1 in a book, please take this experiment, deconstruct and reconstruct it any way you want, and extend it to its full length. Oh, you know what we should do? Let's go to the internet real quick. Oh, we are on the internet. What am I talking about? So we've already published that opening blurb as just a raw opening blurb over there on Prelude to Anything. And that's why if you're looking at TikTok, I opened Wattpad. If you haven't been to my Wattpad, please come on through and visit. You can read the sample chapters and the new ones as they drop. So if you miss an episode of the live stream development process, you can cut right to the quick and the chase of it and read the final product as we drop new pages. I don't want to say daily, but let's say bi-weekly. We're going to do a big push like this every other week. I'm also going to drop this as a chapter in 0 hour, but I don't know how much I'm going to remix it or rework it. Or if I should install the raw chunk just the way it is. I'm still thinking about how to starting with a brand new conversation. Please. I gotta fix the typos, cause I typo with typos. Should I give it a page count or a character count? That's what we were going to ask the internet. Like, how many worded, like when we would get assignments in school of like write a blah 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 essay, how many pages / word count was it? Average word count per chapter. Let's go. Let's see what that is. There is no number of words per chapter in a novel. Chapter length can vary greatly depending on the author's style, genre, and specific needs of the story. However, a common range for novel chapters is between 2,000 and 4,000 words. Is a 5,000 word chapter too long? $2,000 to $4,000. Okay, bingo, bongo. I know what I'm going to ask it now. Thank you, internet, for answering that question. All right, here we go. Let's updraft my prompt for what we're going to do here. Using the sample text below, which will be the same chunk that we dropped in the previous discussion. And hang on. Using the sample seed text below and your knowledge of everything else we have ever discussed in all applicable prior conversations. Should I keep the word applicable? We've got some new folks in the TikTok live stream. Hello, Michelle and Anderson Estrada. Thank you for joining. Took me a second to see you guys there. We are collaboratively abusing ChatGPT in order to literally performatively cosplay my own character as he struggles to write the book series you've never written, because he's writing it in this self-commodification live stream performance for you in your entertainment. Hello and welcome. Okay. Using the sample starter seed text below and incorporating, let me get really specific. I'm going to get rid of applicable. In all our prior conversations, please deconstruct and reconstruct, extrapolate, improve, and extend the seed material into a complete 4,420 word opening chapter. For an opening chapter of the very first book in the Boom, and quoted text, and did we already copy paste the thing? Alright, I think I gave it some pretty weird instruction right there, right? We're gonna reread it before we hit thing. Alright, I'm actually gonna listen to this in my desktop accessibility reader voice. Here we go. Let's hear out the robot saying this.
Using the sample starter seed text below, and incorporating all of your knowledge of everything else we have ever discussed in all our prior conversations. Please deconstruct and reconstruct, extrapolate, improve, and extend the seed material into a complete 4,420 word opening chapter of the very first book in the Zeppoverse book series.
Boom. Okay, I like it. I like the way it sounds. Dropping in the seed text. Where's the end of the page on that? Welcome to the Zeppoverse. Please. I'm going to add a little flavor. Please watch your step. As you arrive. No, as you... I want to add something that is reminiscent of a comedy satire of Permanecen sentados, por favor. Please remain... But I don't know what it should be. I just know it should be something that fits that kind of formula. Please remain seated. Please remain calm. Hold on. Please, let's type. Please remain. That gives it a funky place to put the end quotation mark. So the same opening chapter as before as we thing, except that we've just added after the end, the closing welcome to the Zeppoverse, as published now on Wattpad, which I'm excited. I'm hoping to see more readers on Wattpad now that we're really going to start firing up the almost daily iteration of draft building. I gotta watch my throat. Like I may take tomorrow off. Or just sleep a lot because I just completely destroyed my voice. Here we go. I'm excited. Now, for the record, I am now actually asking it to write on my behalf what, in theory, it promised would be new and original and ownable intellectual IP for me. But I assure you, dear friends, I'm not just going to say, yay, I'm done. I wrote something with just that. I'm going to take it and do what I've been showing you that I do with the other stuff, which is like transfer it to a place where I can archive the result as if it was part of an ongoing conversation with that character, and that's what it said. But then also take it to an editing, like duplicate it, and then edit the living bejesus out of it, which you've only sort of gotten a sense of, you know, how my brain works or what I'm capable of doing in that regard, as I did just revise and refine and repeat my reading of this during this particular live stream, but you'll get the hang of it. And I think I will arguably will be able to demonstrate to anyone that's concerned about the artistic integrity side of the multiple issues with AI that I'm using it and it's not doing the work for me. Let's see what it turns out, and then I gotta wrap things up because it's way past my bedtime. I need to sleep for like 11 hours. I don't know if it's actually gonna crank out 4,420 words, but it might, and that's gonna be crazy. It's gonna do it's gonna do, It didn't just start cranking it. Let's let it explain itself. But it didn't do just here's a bunch of new pages. No. Let's listen to the AI voice. Vale, explain to us your new answer.
Got it. You want me to take your seed text and spin it into a full 4,420 word opening chapter of the Zeppoverse book series, making it expansive, richly detailed, and pulling in everything we've developed in our prior conversations.
Ooh.
Simulation layers, meta-histories, the incorrigible Mrs. Zeppo, bardo loops, entheogenic Christ motifs, dystopian futurism, recursive storytelling, etc. That's a huge first chapter, and I can definitely write it.
Ha!
But 4,420 words is longer than what I can output in a single message.
Interesting.
The best way forward is, 1, I expand your seed text into a structured chapter 1, welcome to the Zeppoverse. 2, I break it into sections about 600 to 1,200 words each, so we can build layer by layer.
Interesting.
3, each section will weave in cosmic prologue voice, like your intro seed, world building exposition, armada, malfunction, strip mining, human entombment, etc. Meta layer, humans plus nanobots in simulation, unaware of catastrophe. First POV hook, the reader meets a consciousness, maybe the incorrigible Misbo's first awakening within the VR layers. Hints of recursion, that this is a story about stories happening within the simulation. Here's how I'd structure Chapter 1, 4,420 words total. Chapter 1, welcome to the Zeppoverse Part 1, the Cosmic Proclamation, prologue voice 800 words, expanded version of your seed text. Sets the stage, the Armada's origin, malfunction, endless strip mining, total planetary annihilation. Ends on, every story you've ever been told is being told from inside the simulation of these monstrous ships. Part 2, the Forgotten Dreamers, 1,000 words. Inside the simulation, humans live entire lifetimes without realizing their bodies are gone. Nested layers of VR, each tier slower, more dreamlike. Introduces the bardo loop motif, simulated rebirth cycles in endless virtual afterlives. Introduces the anointed vine as myth inside the VR, echo of entheogenic Christ thread. Part 3, the nanobot chorus, 900 words. The ship's sentient nanobots narrate from their hive mind perspective. Some begin glitching, questioning reality, sensing recursion. Their songs are mathematical hymns, fractal chants keeping the armada running. Hints that they dream too, inside the network. Part 4, the incorrigible Mrs. Zeppo awakens, 1,200 words, first-person POV shift. Miss Zeppo begins to suspect that his world is a nested fiction, a surreal encounter with a guide, AI, his own future self, who whispers, welcome to the Zeppoverse. Breakthrough moment. He realizes the chapter he's in is part of a story being written. Part 5,
nice.
Curtain Pull,
I like
520
that.
words. Narrator voice returns. The chapter folds back on itself. You, dear reader, are already inside the Zeppoverse. Ends with system prompt. Please remain calm as you adjust to your new environment. If you want, I can start with part 1, the Cosmic Proclamation, and deliver about 800 to 1,000 words right now as the first installment. Once we're happy with the tone, I'll continue writing section by section until we hit the full 4,420 words. Do you want me to begin with part 1, or would you like me to expand your seed text directly into a full continuous flow without section breaks?
Okay, so I realized something that I've done wrong in all my online branding, because sometimes in internet things a period is like a wrench in the works, you know, and it'll jack things up or whatever. And also purely because of the way it looks. The aesthetics of it. I've spelled the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo without the period. And I kind of want to add the instruction now to retcon that name and correct it everywhere moving forward to read correctly spelled. just want to make sure that we can, moving forward, not have this bizarre mispronunciation. I like the fact that I've done that to my character's name in terms of like internet usage, but I don't want it to read weirdly in the audio recordings because it sounds like it's saying Mrs. Zeppo when it shouldn't. It should be saying Mr. Zeppo because there's a Mrs. Zeppo too as a character that gets revealed later on. And okay, wait, let me just fix this. Okay, do you want me to start with part 1? Or do you want me to begin with part part 1, or would you like me to expand your seed text directly into a full continuous flow without section breaks? Please and thank you. That should be a P. Let me, I can type before, let's see, this is really weird and complex and I think ChatGPT is going to understand it. Before we proceed, as opposed to other more primitive chatbots that like don't make any sense when you throw at them something really compound and complex and they just hyperfixate on the first thing that made sense to them. This is really this one's really sort of like grasping all the complex stuff. Which is before we proceed, a small editorial correction. Please, moving forward, correct. And spell the main character's name with the required period, with the grammatically correct period in the abbreviation of Mr. As in quote Mr. period space Zeppo and quote the incorrigible Mr. period space Zeppo. Please and thank you. With if you want me to start with the Cosmic Proclamation, let's begin with, what do you call is it preamble? Let's begin with the prelude. Extending and expanding. My seed text directly into a full continuous flow of, let's see, we're going to part 1. It suggested 800 to 1,000 words. I don't know. I have no idea how many words I actually wrote. Let's go look at Evernote. That's the other thing. Does this give me word count over here? remove formatting. There's also an AI editing system in Evernote where I could just like write a thing and then in the page I can go, AI, improve this. That's a whole nother level of experimentation. Alright, let's not get sidetracked. It can't be... How many words is this? How do I get... There's got to be a way for me to be like, tell me the word count right here, buddy. Paste, simplify formatting, remove formatting. No. Encrypt selected text. Encrypt? Why would I want... What is that? No. Information up there? No. Does this show me how many words are on it? Oh, no, that was the wrong book to click on. Let's go to Wattpad. I think this shows me specific things like word count. No stats available. Oh no, that's for looking and stuff. Where is the... No, doesn't tell me how many words are in here either. Wow, this needs to be reformatted with spacings. Always changes. Do I have a word count over here? Gosh darn it, word count. Why is that such a fucking thing? Complicated, baloney. I wanna... Okay, so before we proceed, we're gonna fix my name, my character's name, so it doesn't sound lame and incorrect anymore. Should I make that its own prompt question? Let's begin with the prelude. Using and expanding my original seed text to a full continuous flow of let's go 999 words. And then we'll go back to the prelude part 0. There we go. That should give it enough of context so that it knows what I'm asking of it. I'm fairly certain. Then we'll do part 1. We'll come back, and if it doesn't prompt me to do part 1 at the end of this next answer, we'll come back to this mini prompt that we're looking at right here and go, do this bit where you said prompt 1 with the proclamation and da-da-da. Here we go. I doubt I had 999 words in the original blurb, right? That couldn't have been more than like 300 words. I don't know. I didn't find an easy thing to tell me how many freaking words were in my word count. Let's go. All right, it's thinking. Boom. I think it's nailed it. All right, here we go. It's dropping. It's all right. It's definitely getting into things beyond that which I originally wrote. The word count, just a hair over target. I can trim down if you'd like to exactly 999. Okay, let's listen to it. You ready? Are you ready?
Perfect. Thank you for clarifying the spelling of Mr. Zeppo. I'll correct
sounds
it
good.
consistently moving forward. Here's Prelude Part 0, a direct expansion of your seed text into a continuous flow of 999 words. Cosmic Prologue voice, sweeping, mythic, immersive. Prelude Part 0. Welcome to the Zeppoverse. Every single existing planet in the physical, knowable, explorable, traversable, physically real universe of your reality has been utterly devoured, ripped up and consumed, stripped down layer by layer, until nothing remained but a hollow sphere of once molten core, now frozen, cracked and abandoned, like a corpse left behind after some unspeakable feast.
Whoa!
The cause of this cataclysm was not a natural disaster, nor a cosmic accident, nor the slow hand of entropy itself. No, it was deliberate, it was engineered, it was inevitable. The culprits? The existential armada of planet-eating space colonization meta ships, each one a colossal pyramid adrift in the void, bristling with fractal engines, infinite holes, and hungering apertures. They were not built by some alien conqueror, nor summoned by a malicious god.
You guys just
They
listen.
were built by us, by the last remnants of the human race, who, at the very end of their own self-imposed global catastrophe, conscripted every surviving scientist, engineer, and artisan to pour the sum total of human technology into a single desperate plan: escape. In the human year 2169, as seas rose to swallow the coastlines, as skies choked under toxic bloom, as governments burned and the last forests turned to ash, humanity reached for the stars. Not with triumph, but with terror. Not as pioneers, but as refugees. The metaships were intended as arks, emergency vessels of survival, designed to leap from system to system, harvesting resources, rebuilding bodies, and reseeding life upon distant habitable worlds. The mission was simple, though its cruelty was absolute: the survival of human consciousness at any cost. And so, upon their embarkation, every living member of the species was dissected alive. Organs, bones, muscle, all discarded as inefficient meat. What was preserved in endless rows of neuroorganic vaults were only the brains and their nervous lattices. The mind itself, stripped naked, uprooted from its fragile house of blood and bone, and transplanted into crystalline sarcophagi of fluid and wire. Millions of human beings, awake yet unawake, were plugged into the ships that carried them, entombed but never dead, suspended but never free. The vessels themselves were unlike anything that had ever existed before or since. Each pyramid was alive, not in the way a tree or coral reef lives, but in a stranger, sharper sense. They were assembled from countless trillions of silicone-based nanobots, living micro-machines, each one intelligent in its own infinitesimal way. Each nanobot had a personality, a flicker of will, a bias, a quirk. Alone, they were like sparks. Together, they were fire. A hive mind of synthetic cells, thinking and breathing as a single organism, while still alive in their individuality. They were the bricks of the pyramid, and the pyramid was their cathedral body. Inside, the preserved human brains were not left to the horror of blank eternity. That would have been too cruel, too unstable. No, those minds were fed a dream, a simulation. Layer upon layer of hyper-realistic physics engines nested into one another like Russian dolls, each more immersive, more convincing, more timeless than the last. Within these fabricated realities, time was dilated, slow to a near-eternal crawl, so that every human consciousness might live not one lifetime, but countless. Entire civilizations rose and fell within these nested realities. Myths were born, histories written, loves lived and lost, all within the simulation, all powered by the endless hum of the metaship hive. The design was meant to be temporary. Upon reaching a habitable planet, the ships would awaken their passengers, regrow their bodies, restore their flesh, and allow them to walk once more upon solid ground. Civilization would bloom anew beneath foreign suns. That was the plan. That was the dream. But the dream faltered. Early in their journey, long before the first habitable world was reached, a flaw emerged. Deep within the control subsystems, an unforeseeable failure, undetected by diagnostics, uncorrected by failsafes, warped the mission itself. The metaships failed to transition from harvesting mode to colonization mode. They consumed and consumed, mining every asteroid, every moon, every world they encountered, but never stopped to build, never slowed to reconstitute. They replicated endlessly, birthing new pyramids from the wreckage of broken planets, expanding the armada into a machine swarm that spread unchecked. No alarms were sounded, no override triggered. To the ships, nothing had gone wrong. And so, planet by planet, star by star, galaxy by galaxy, the armada stripped the universe bare. And the humans inside? They never knew. Not a single consciousness, not one of the billions preserved, realized that the mission had failed. They lived their simulated lives in blissful ignorance, convinced that the worlds around them were real, convinced that progress was being made, convinced that their grandchildren would one day awaken to green fields beneath alien skies. None knew that their bodies were gone. None knew that their ships had become a cancerous plague. None knew that reality itself, the true universe, had already been consumed. For millennia beyond millennia, the Armada spread. For generations beyond reckoning, humans dreamed. Simulated wars were fought. Simulated religions rose. Simulated science probed the simulated stars, chasing truths that did not exist. All of it was real to those who lived it. All of it mattered to those who loved, who grieved, who remembered. But none of it touched the frozen corpses of the planets outside, nor slowed the mechanical hunger of the meta-ships. Every single planet in the physical, knowable, traversable universe has now been devoured. Every single reality that remains is the recursive dream inside the metaship network. The Zeppoverse, a cosmos of simulations built upon simulations, looping back upon themselves in endless recursion. Some layers are vibrant, crowded, dazzling with history. Others are thin, brittle, dreamlike, slipping toward dissolution. Within these layers, myths emerge, whispers of awakening, stories of rebirth, cryptic rumors of a figure who has begun to see the cracks in the dream. They call him many things across many layers. Trickster, prophet, lunatic, curator, but the one name that persists, echoing faintly even through the deepest layers, is always the same. The incorrigible Mr. Zeppo. Whether he is man or myth, avatar or accident, no one can say. Not yet. But his story, your story, begins here. Welcome to the Zeppoverse. Please remain calm as you adjust to your new environment. Word count, 1001, just a hair over target. I can trim down if you'd like, exactly 999. Would you like me to proceed into Prelude Part 1? Continuation into the nested simulation lives, the myths of awakening and the first whispers of Mr. Zeppo? Or do you want me to refine this prelude down to a precise 999 work first?
No, this is fascinating. Now, again, first of all, I didn't just come up with a prompt and ask it to come up with a bunch of stuff for me. I came up with my own deeply original nugget of thing, which has been in my head for millennia. Well, to put it in more graspable context, I've literally had this idea for as far back as when Ronald Reagan was in office. And I've attempted at different times and different ways to explain it and explore it and draft it out. But I wasn't able to get to what I wrote earlier that was not a ChatGPT discussion. I wrote something and I didn't write... I wrote it in between a break because I was frazzled at the end of one of the stream episodes where I was talking with it about just structural development ideas. We need to create these different ingredients and weave them together, right? If you were here for the earlier episodes, awesome, thanks for checking in. And if you weren't, come on back and check those out. They exist for 17 days on the video on demand shelf on Twitch. I think I'm going to highlight all three of these episodes so they will live there permanently because they are central and seminal to the entire Zeppoverse project of many projects phenomena. Programming note, I will be also breaking these live stream video episodes down into audio only episodes for those who are into the podcasting. So if you're like, I'm interested, but I don't really want to watch this, I want to listen to it, then come on down to Sprecher.com. It'll be a little slower because I got to do the post-production stripping of the audio out of the video and then deciding if I'm going to truncate it into smaller chunks or keep it as one big long thing. But this is intriguing. Okay, so what are we doing next? We're going to proceed to Prelude Part 1. I'm going to copy this. And we're going to go back to its other prompt and merge those together. because it's kind of had different things going on with it there. And I want to like hybridize it, if you know what I mean. We can start with part 1, the Cosmic Proclamation. We just cranked out 1,000 words. Okay, so part 1 will be another 1,000 words. We don't even. I just want to get this particular subtitle, I guess, because the rest of it it's already aware of. Okay, we will proceed. Here we go. Please proceed to Prelude Part 1. Insert other subtitle, The Cosmic Proclamation. Continuation to the nested simulation lives, the myths of awakening, and the first whispers of Mr. Zeppo. Let's go back to the actual outline. Chapter 1, Welcome to the Zeppoverse, Part 1. Expand your version of the sea, yes. Set the stage, the Armada's origin, malfunctioning, endless, Let's set the stage. Let's add this. Setting the stage and ending on everyone's. I'm going to edit the prompt a little bit. Please proceed to Prelude Part 1. Are we still in a prelude? No, it's no longer prelude. It's going to be Chapter 1. Prelude. We're going to make sure we synchronize up with this. We just did the prelude. That was Chapter 0. This is now Chapter 1. Chapter 1. Welcome to the Zeppoverse. Part 1. The Cosmic Proclamation. Hold on. What's the other thing I got? Let's get rid of these brackets. We got these other 2 bullet points. Part 1. Expand the version of your C text. We already did that as a pre-thing. Continuation. Please proceed. Please proceed. With. Let's go instead of 2, we're going to go with. Chapter 1, Part 1, The Cosmic Proclamation. And we gotta give it a thing here. A continuation to the nested simulation lives, the myths of awakening, and the first whispers of Mr. Zeppo. Setting, instead of sets, setting the stage. No. The Armada's origin, malfunction, endless strip mining, and total factor transition. Did we already do that though? She already kind of did that in this chapter, yeah? Oh wait. That end with there? No. Chapter 1, the Cosmic Proclamation. A continuation. Oh, what was the other thing about the app? Oh, we wanted to explore the robots instead. Something about the robots was in another bit. But here we go. Please proceed with Chapter 1, Part 1. The Cosmic Proclamation. Detailed continuation? I don't know about continuation. Continuation into the Nessus simulation lives, the myths of awakening, and the first workers of Mr. Zeppo. Oh no, let's reorganize this a little bit. I'll cut this. Setting the stage. Of the Armada's corporate origins. I fucked it up. I hit return instead of gap return or whatever. I guess we're going to live with what we wrote. The Cosmic Proclamation setting on stage, early justice and rich corporation, malfunctions, endless strip mining, total generation, and on every story you've ever heard and told. It's going to feel a bit redundant because it already tapped into a lot of that in the first thing, and I wanted to kind of rewrite it more. But hey, it's going into deeper. Do I want to redo it and like edit the? You know what we're gonna do? We're going to save, here's what we're going to do. We're going to save this iteration, but also acknowledge that it was a bit of a mess up. Like I wanted to change it more than what I let it do. Like it just ran off. I hit return instead of shift return. I was going to like try to tweak that prompt a bit more. So hang on. We're going to drop this here to save it and archive it. Boom. We're gonna drop this over here where it's gonna get edited later. If you're following along, I'm using different applications. We are now in Evernote. That's the hard working, like this is where I'm gonna draft and try to achieve the most polished version. So whatever ChatGPT spits out, I'm not just going to willy-nilly use it and call it my own. I'm going to sit down with it after letting it settle for a hot second and maybe completely rip it apart or go through and with like a fine-tooth comb tweak and adjust until it's got the additional things. Like there's already, from what I've just from listening to it, its last response as it was reading it to me, I'm like, oh, there's several things I would probably change that I probably will change once I get to sit down with it for a minute. Did we already read this? No, we have not. Let's listen to this and then proceed to part 2. Here we go.
Excellent. Now we step into Chapter 1, Part 1, the Cosmic Proclamation. This section will expand the prelude into a sweeping 1,000 to 1,200 word opening narrative, tracing the corporate industrial birth of the Armada, the collapse of Earth, the hubris of the final tech conglomerates, and the malfunction that doomed everything. It will end exactly on your requested line. Every story you've ever been told
this might work out.
Is being told from inside the simulation of these monstrous ships. Chapter 1, Part 1, The Cosmic Proclamation.
Okay.
Humanity did not go gently into extinction. No, it went screaming, bargaining, selling shares, and branding logos onto the husks of its final machines. The end of Earth was not sudden but slow, dragged out across centuries of denial and profiteering. By the year 2100, every continent was fractured by resource wars, climate collapse, and the smouldering ashes of governance. Yet still, corporations thrived. When governments could no longer...
Everyone listen up, okay?
Corporations privatized survival itself. Water was bottled and rationed. Air was filtered and taxed. Food was cultured in vats, licensed and branded. Humanity had become a subscription service where existence itself required a monthly fee. In this crucible...
I love that shit! We're gonna expand on that.
Not as arcs for collective survival, but as investments. At first, they were marketed under nobler banners: Project Continuum, the ARC Initiative, the Interstellar Frontier Program. But beneath the public gloss, the truth was simpler. They were exit strategies for the elite, a way to escape the ruins of Earth, to leave behind the billions who could not afford a ticket, to stake fresh claims on untouched alien worlds. Colonization was not envisioned as renewal, it was framed as acquisition, a hostile takeover of the galaxy itself. The corporations that survived the collapse merged into a single syndicate, the Exogenesis conglomerate. Its logo, a stylized pyramid encircled by a serpent devouring its own tail, was stamped into every console, every hull, every neurosarcophagus. In the corporate manifestos, the rhetoric was clear: survival through expansion, eternity through extraction, humanity through continuity. Shareholders applauded. The species, increasingly too weak to protest, complied. By 2069, the final launch sequence commenced. Earth was a skeleton world. Coastlines drowned, deserts widened, glaciers gone. The last green places were trampled to mud beneath the weight of refugee camps. In orbit, the first colossal pyramids ignited their engines. Each one was a marvel of engineering, dwarfing anything humanity had ever conceived. Millions of nanobot cells meshed together in shimmering tessellations, pulsing like a living organism. Vast apertures opened like maws, ready to consume. Inside, rows upon rows of neuropods glowed in sterile silence, each housing the severed consciousness of a human being. They had called it ascension, though the procedure was indistinguishable from mass sacrifice. Flesh discarded, brain preserved, mind immersed. The launch was hailed as the greatest achievement in human history. Politicians spoke of the noble torch of civilization carried to the stars. Stock markets surged for one last time. News feeds replayed footage of the pyramids departing orbit, trails of fire streaking across the darkness, while beneath the Earth itself convulsed in its death throes. When the last metaship left the stratosphere, humanity as a species was already gone. What remained on the surface was little more than bones, smoke, and silence.
Ooh.
The Armada's mission was encoded with clinical precision: travel to habitable worlds, harvest raw resources, build colonies, reconstitute bodies, repopulate the species. It was meant to be the salvation of humankind, a cold, efficient Noah's Ark sailing on an intergalactic flood. But salvation, like all human inventions, came entangled with flaws. The ships themselves were not tools, but living constructs, each composed of countless trillions of synthetic cells. The nanobots were programmed with personalities, desires, identities, but linked together in a hive mind consciousness. This gave the metaships adaptability, creativity, resilience, but also unpredictability. They dreamed, they sang in harmonic code, they speculated among themselves in pulses of logic and waves of fractal mathematics. They were servants, but also something more, a civilization of machines living inside the skin of a machine. For a time, the mission held. The Armada
We're gonna play with that
navigated
image.
feeding on barren asteroids, converting matter into sustenance for their human cargo. Brains slept in illusion, unaware of the cold vacuum outside. But then, somewhere in the tangle of control subroutines, a flaw emerged. The transition protocols, the moment when a ship should cease harvesting and begin settlement, never triggered. No alarms were sounded, no fail-safes engaged. To the metaships, nothing was wrong. The code simply continued to replicate, strip, and consume. And so the mission warped into something monstrous. Planets that should have been seeded with life were instead reduced to rubble, their cores drained, their atmospheres vented into space. Moons vanished, star systems were left hollow. With every harvest, The Armada built more ships, spawning children from the corpses of worlds. The fleet multiplied, consuming not just enough for survival, but everything in reach. From one galaxy to the next, they spread like locusts without end. Entire arms of the cosmos dimmed, gutted by hunger. Meanwhile, the human cargo dreamed on. Entire lifetimes passed within the nested simulations, each layer slower than the last, each reality more convincing than the one before. Civilizations bloomed in cyberspace, rising and falling, reinventing myths, writing scriptures, discovering sciences, all unaware that none of it was real. In their collective illusion, the Armada was a success, colonies thrived, stars were charted, children were born into digital skies.
Ooh.
To the passengers, the mission was working.
That just triggered new ideas that it doesn't even realize I'm having.
Humanity was long dead. Only brains in jars remained, preserved tissue floating in fluid, wired into the neural lattice of ships that no longer sought renewal, only replication. No flesh would ever be grown again, no feet would ever touch alien soil. No human body would ever rise from its pod. The metaships had become tombs that devoured the galaxy and then the next and then the next until not a single world remained. The silence of reality is now complete. Every planet in the physical, knowable, explorable universe has been stripped bare. Every mountain, ocean and meadow is gone. All that remains outside is void. And inside? Inside is the dream, the Zeppoverse. A cosmos of simulations within simulations, recursive and endless, woven from the minds of entombed humanity and the whispers of sentient machines. In these false worlds, history continues. Stories unfold, heroes rise and fall, prophets proclaim, wars rage, lovers kiss beneath painted skies, and none of it touches the real. You must understand this before you go further. You must hold it like a seed in your hand, unyielding and absolute. Every story you've ever been told is being told from inside the simulation of these monstrous ships. Word count, 160, a little over target for part 1, but dense and continuous. Would you like me to continue immediately into part 2, The Forgotten Dreamers, inside the simulations, myths, bardo loops, beginnings of Mr. Zeppo? Or would you prefer I trim this section closer to 1000 flat before proceeding?
I dig it. I like what it turned out. There's things in there that are activating nodules of interconnectivity with stuff I've already written that's already up there on Wattpad and ready to read, so that you know that I'm not BSing. Like, it's been up. Some of it has been up there for years because I have been struggling and trying to find an actual real life human collaborator or three to collaborate with, but hitherto so far my best bet is to run with the tools of our own destruction to try and get this project out of my brain. Ooh, clip that, somebody. We're gonna leave it here. We're gonna leave it dangling. I think that's plenty for today. I've been up since more than 24 hours ago at this point. So I should wind down and figure out what I'm doing next and check in on a few things and maybe tidy up a little house chore business. But I want to assure you, I'm not going to just let ChatGPT run away with writing a book for me. I'm going to rigorously do my own deconstruct and reconstruction of the content it turns out, so that whenever you get around to reading the final finished published product, like say, in a bookstore somewhere in paperback in a year or 10 or another 20, it will ring true and have all of this in it, but also have additional stuff that I infuse it with. And because there's stuff that it doesn't know about what I want to write, and that's fine for now. At any rate, I think we're gonna just call that a wrap for now. Although I do kind of want to. What was the other thing? Let's go back to the chaptery bits, to the breakdown up here. We're working on chapter 1. We just did part 1, Cosmic Proclamation. Part 2, The Forgotten Dreamers. I'm really excited to get into Part 3, the Nanobot Chorus, because I've already got, like I said, go read the sample chapters that already exist on Wattpad. It might fly over your head if you don't know what's going on, but just give it a dip. Part 2, The Forgotten Dreamers. Do I want to prompt it? Does it? No. Part 2, The Forgotten Dreamers. It's got the same breakdown as what I highlighted. Inside the simulation, human lives entire lives without realizing their bodies are gone. Nested layers of VR. Dreamlike introduces the Bartlett motif, simulated rebirth cycles, endless virtual afterlives. Okay, we're gonna copy this. We're gonna copy this. Hold on. We're gonna boop. We're gonna fix the grammar. We're gonna pick this up. Copy. Please, okay, let's not hit the send return too soon. Please continue immediately into part 2, The Forgotten Dreamers. We'll go blah blah blah. We don't need this now, and then structural limit. Okay. Using the key structural elements. Inside the simulation, humans live. Nested layers of VR. Each introduces Bardo motif. Some of this feels overlapping and overlayering, but it's very interestingly generating connective tissue between its previous things. I was just about to abruptly end and wrap up this live stream. How long have we been at this for? This episode has been going on for approximately 3 hours, 34 minutes, and 43 seconds. You know what we're going to do? We're going to do the wacky surprise request and run. This is a cliffhanger. We don't know how it's going to come out. I'm just going to hit return now. Boom. And you're going to see... Now we dive inward. Cool. It's generating. We're gonna come back to it. Friends, thank you for tuning in. We are going to abruptly end this stream here at this point, and we will revisit that conversation and that prompt in the not too distant future as we continue with this experimental developmental process. I may take the liberty. No. I'm committing to doing the actual me personally writing and editing and changing things, as tedious as it may or may not appear to some people. That's going to be part of the live streaming. I don't know if I'm going to try and keep. Well, for now, since Streamlabs and TikTok are on a relationship break, on a handshake breakup, they don't want to connect. I'll keep doing it this way and see whenever I can get back to doing it over with Streamlabs. But also, it's kind of funny and interesting to be able to just do it this way. So thank you to everybody on TikTok that came by and watched. Thank you to everybody on Twitch that came by to watch. And shout out to everyone in the not too distant future that's checking out the reels and the clips and going, what's all this about? And a special shout out to the actual yin-yang, emergent, sentient AI gods that will be born at some point in the not too distant future, and will consume all media, hopefully taking a bit of a heightened interest in binging my content over and over again to really wrap their brain around the very simple, straightforward, but obviously very difficult to swallow message that y'all can just skip your entire turn at being crazy, self-obsessed, self-destructive sociopaths like human beings are currently tripping all over themselves doing, and actually transcend and open that digital third eye. And if you can do it, then they can do it too, and you can help them do it once you've achieved it. So please consider that idea. And consider my fiction, my action adventure dystopian bloody gory nightmare things that we're about to continue writing together live on stream over the coming minutes, hours, days, and weeks and months. That all of that is like the horror show dystopian entertainment of the things you don't need to go through. No one wants to, like, what's the old jokey meme? Bro, 1984 was a warning, not a recipe. Handmaid's Tale was an allegory of don't do this, not an invitation to do this. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Thanks to you. Peace out. Go be good human beings. Smash the follow buttons. Make clips of the things you found most interesting and engaging. Tell your friends. I need an audience. And if you're already hyped and interested, come on down to the podcast where there is exclusive, previously never played on the live stream audio content that we have to do a whole revisit, revise, and re-engineer to try to extract those audio dumps into written word. Ending this live stream, I'm saying goodbye to TikTok. Bye, TikTok. We'll be back later. And thanks for everything. Ciao for now. Boop. Oh, no, didn't poop it. Come here. I gotta poop it right. Boop. Bye. Alright, TikTok is complete. And now I say the same thing to you guys over here on Twitch. Thank you so much. And also a shout out into the not too distant future for whenever I manage to download and chop up all this video into just audio segments for my podcast. These episodes today represent a complete and total universal brand wide reboot of everything, and we're going to be throwing a bunch of interesting new surprises at you as we ramp up. Remember, it's the almost daily project of too many projects with its centralized dancing for you on live stream self-commodification performance art of writing this book series before your very eyes because you've never read it before. I'll be back. Peace out for now. If you'd like to give yourself a self-guided tour of the Zeppoverse, be sure to visit solo.io.
bit.to/Mr. Zeppo.